This page is the front cover of Dreamcast Magazine from May 28, 1999, and it's a special issue that comes with a playable demo on GDROM. The main highlight is Dynamite Cop 2, the sequel to Die Hard Arcade. The cover promotes this demo and a special feature called EGG Pre-Release Special Feature. Looking at other articles mentioned, we can see previews for Shenmue, Death Crimson 2, Frame Gride, and Street Fighter Alpha 3. There are also features on games where you can create your own baseball and soccer teams, likely referring to the Pro Yaku Team wo Tsukuru and Pro Soccer Club wo Tsukuru series. In smaller text, it mentions D2, the sequel to D, Time Stalkers, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes, and Blue Stinger. There's also a mention of Kita-e White Illumination and Nobunaga's Ambition, Lord of Darkness with Power-Up Kit. This page is an advertisement for the game Space Griffon, also known as in Japanese. The page highlights that it's set in October of the year 2148. The text describes a situation where the largest artificial construction on the moon, called Hamlet, has suddenly become unable to communicate. The giant corporation AMAX Factories decides to dispatch its private armed force, AMAX Cleaner, to investigate. The text evokes a mysterious atmosphere, mentioning the night sky, white and gentle light, and the cold earth, suggesting something unknown and enormous is starting to move silently within the darkness. The tagline is, "The Hidden Truth You Still Do Not Know." Below the English title, Blue Steel Variable Formula Space Griffon, it mentions the game as a dramatic story combined with action shooting, marking the pinnacle of 3D action shooting games. It prominently displays the release date as June 1999 and the standard price as 5,800 yen, excluding tax. The bottom text mentions Dreamcast and Sega Enterprises, indicating its platform. The image shows a mech, likely the Space Griffon, in action with explosions, visually representing the action-shooting aspect of the game. The next page showcases the Dreamcast game Heavy Metal Geomatrix. The image displays a powerful mech engaged in combat amidst explosions and laser fire. Below the image, cast details are provided, listing voice actors like Tomoyuki Morikawa as Jim, Kotono Mitsuishi as Mary, and Tesho Genda as Conrad, alongside other cast members and production staff from Panther Software. This page is the contents for this issue of Dreamcast Magazine. It highlights the Dynamite Cop 2 playable demo on the GDROM included with the magazine, mentioning the original arcade game Trunklizer Gun is also playable for 1 minute. The magazine features upcoming Dreamcast games such as Phantom Moon Knight, a new genre game where you debut an artist online, and Super Producers, focusing on the showbiz world, which includes details on Shenmue's Forest. There's also an urgent interview about Shenmue at Ecole. Other featured games include Death Crimson 2, Let's Make a Pro Baseball Team, Let's Make a J-League Pro Soccer Club, Frame Gride, and Street Fighter Alpha 3. The Dreamcast Hot Information section covers new game details for D2, Time Stalkers, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes, Sunrise Ayutan, Carrier, Espionage Agents, Let's Make an Idle Mahjong Player, Troya, and a new title which is partially obscured. This page is the game index for the magazine, listing the featured games in this issue. For Dreamcast, there's coverage of Let's Make an Idle Mahjong Player, Espionage NTS, Elemental Gimmick Gear, Kita-e, White Illumination, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes, Carrier, Time Stalkers, Sunrise Hero Story, Seaman, J-League Pro Soccer Club Otsukuru, Shenmue, True Authentic Hanafuda, Super Producers, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Troya, Starlight Odyssey, and Soul Calibur. The Sega Saturn section features Die Hard Arcade, D2, and Death Crimson 2. Other games mentioned include Blue Stinger, Nobunaga's Ambition, Lord of Darkness with Power-Up Kit, Puyo Puyon, Frame Gride, Pro Yaku Team Otsukuru, and Maboroshi Tsukiyo. This page highlights Sega's promotion of Giant Graham in conjunction with the All Japan Pro Wrestling 5.2 Tokyo Dome event a memorial for Giant Baba. The article details the event, which took place on May 2nd at the Tokyo Dome and featured matches like Vader vs. Mitsuharu Misawa. Sega is running a Giant Gram pre-order campaign starting May 20th, where fans can get special straps and posters. The page includes a screenshot of Giant Gram gameplay and describes the emotional atmosphere of the wrestling event, including the Baba call from the audience in Tokyo Dome. The article promotes the Dreamcast version of Giant Gram, which is being released alongside the arcade version. The Tokyo Game Show 99 Autumn, held September 18th and 19th at Makuhari Messe in Chiba, is expected to surpass the previous spring event's 156,000 attendee count. Software news includes a counter-battle version of NEC Home Electronics fighting game, Seventh Cross, bundled with a Dreamcast Magazine GDROM, with plans for online tournaments. A Get Bass Comedy and Get Bass Festival at Lake Biwa showcased 20 Dreamcast demos and drew around 10,000 attendees. Bandai hosted a WonderSwan event in Shibuya, and the Game Boy Color price was reduced. Nextech, a Sega subsidiary, is developing Dark Eyes, a Dreamcast-exclusive online network RPG focused on player-versus-player combat, distinct from the existing PC version. This page summarizes various news items. The Data East Fan Club (DDD) is seeking first-term members with free membership and premium benefits for $19.99. The 99 SNK Spring Collection, a fighting game event, took place in April, featuring games like Bariki 1. The Kira Kira Melody Academy Fan Club inauguration was held on April 29th for an idol voice actor project. Makoto Asami, 21, was chosen as the voice actor for DGI Shirat, hinting at a potential game adaptation. Finally, the Super Robot Tamashi Tour 99 Haru no Jin concert tour, featuring iconic anime singers and theme songs from classic series like Mazinger Z, culminated on May 2nd and will be broadcast on NHKBS2 in June. This page features several announcements and reviews. Firstly, there's an advertisement for the Sakura Wars Christmas video and LD, with a campaign to win limited edition goods. An event is also promoted for the gravure idol group Nitro, associated with the song Calling and the movie Detective Boys, with events scheduled in Osaka and Tokyo. In news, it's reported that game company Visco, known for games like Jangu Janjan Koshimasho, is facing bankruptcy and seeking reconciliation in Kyoto District Court. Reviews and previews cover various music releases, including Pierrot's Last Letter Pierrot, Haircuts, Rhaenyra Haircuts, Morning Musume's True Summer Sunlight, GLAY's Survival, Coil's Kuru Kuru Fetchi, Koji Hayama's 99 Super Prodigy Legend Best and Super Remix, Yoko Kanno's Cowboy Bebop Original Soundtrack 3 Blue, and Yuki Uchida's Believe. Finally, there is a section detailing how to apply for reader prizes. This page is a Dreamcast sales ranking chart, showcasing the top 10 best-selling games. At number 1 is the horror shooter, The House of the Dead 2, maintaining strong sales and nearing 200,000 units sold. Second place goes to the fishing game, Get Bass, noted for its easy controls and broad appeal. The action-adventure, Blue Stinger, is third, having surpassed 100,000 sales. Fourth place is Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, praised for its fast-loading and engaging gameplay. The fifth spot is occupied by Sega Rally 2, a racing game that continues to sell well and is compared to Sonic Adventure in popularity. Sixth is Power Stone, a unique action fighting game with an innovative system that's gaining positive user feedback. Sonic Adventure itself is in seventh place, highlighted as a must-have title, alongside Virtua Fighter 3 TB and Sega Rally 2 for Dreamcast owners. Eighth position is taken by Web Mystery Yoshi Yume wo Miru Neko, an adventure game with live-action elements that might appeal to specific tastes. Ninth is Super Speed Racing, a racing game featuring real-life drivers and vehicles, with a mention of wanting updated versions. Finally, Redline Racer, a futuristic motorbike racing game, debuts in 10th place, though its initial sales are described as somewhat disappointing. The chart covers sales data from April 19th to May 2nd. This page reveals the Dreamcast top 30 most anticipated titles, as voted by readers. Grandia 2 reigns supreme at number 1 with 510 points. Reclaiming the top spot, it's highlighted as a must-play RPG. Shenmue, Yokosuka, secures second place with 500 points and a 50% completion rate, accompanied by a screenshot and news about recent events. emphasizing the immense hype. Soul Calibur is in third place, with 409 points and 40% completion, showing a screenshot and drawing attention to its in-depth story and character development. Weekly Pickup shines a spotlight on Black Matrix AD, ranked 4th with 376 points, emphasizing its strong popularity. Other notable games in the top ranks include Resident Evil Code, Veronica, Magical X, SNK vs. CAP Coem, Virtual Oratorio Tangram, The King of Fighters Dream Match 1999, D2, and Seaman. Dynamite Cop 2 is highlighted at rank 12, with 212 points and 100% completion, featuring a screenshot and being touted as a guaranteed purchase with improved replayability and fresh elements. The page also briefly mentions Mabaroshi Tsukio and Super Producers, aim for Showbiz World. This page presents two top game ranking charts. The first chart is titled Dreamcast Desired Porting Top 20 and lists games readers would like to see ported to the Dreamcast. The top 3 games in this list are Rent a Hero, Sakura Wars Series, and Virtua Striker 2 version 99. The chart includes data on game genres and points awarded. The second chart is titled Video Game Income Ranking Top 15, listing arcade games by income. Virtua Striker 2 version 99 tops this chart, followed by Virtua Fighter 3 TB and Cyber Troopers Virtual Oratorio Tangram Ver. 5.4. This chart also includes data and points. A weekly pickup section highlights Zombie Revenge as coming soon for the Dreamcast, mentioning it's an action game on the Naomi arcade board. Another text box talks about Airline Pilots, mentioning it as a flight simulator with 3D graphics. There's also a section featuring Gunbird 2, highlighting its 99% completion status and mentioning it as a shooting game with colorful graphics and positive comments from fans, eagerly awaiting its release. This page showcases upcoming Dreamcast software and hardware releases. In May of 1999, titles like Dynamite Cop and Elemental Gimmick Gear were released. June saw the arrival of King of Fighters Dream Match 1999 and Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2. July brought games such as World Neverland Plus and Let's Make a Pro Baseball Team. August featured Shenmue Chapter 1, Yokosuka and Japan Professional Mahjong League Certified Ironman. September saw ESPIONAGENTS and Super Producers aim for Showbiz World, while October had Nabappa, Worldwide Web Soccer, and Panorama Cotton 2 lined up. November included Sunrise Hero Story, Battle Taisetsu, Dreamcast Sequencer, VJ Monster, and Dynamite Robo 2000. Little Dream was slated for December. Looking ahead to the next year, spring would bring 7 Subo Secret Battlefield Smile, and summer promised Mahoroba Tsukiyo. Let's Play with Professional Baseball Team, Runecaster, and Cool Borders DC. There's also a list of games with undecided release dates, including titles like Mercenary Spriggan, Martian Successor Nadesico, Dreamflyer, Soul Calibur, Resident Evil Code, Veronica, and Shenmue, Second Chapter. On the hardware front, the Neo Geo Pocket/Dreamcast connection cable, zip drive, fishing controller, and microphone device are listed as upcoming peripherals. Finally, other related products include the Giant Channel and Visual Memory portable game. The Dreamcast Readers Race Weekly News, RACE.18, presents a reader-voted ranking of Dreamcast software. This issue features a ranking of 33 games and mini-reviews for 3 titles. Morita Shogi's Strongest Shogi, ranked 7th, is praised for its fast-paced and stress-free shogi gameplay, though it's considered a potentially pricey option. Morita Shogi's Strongest Reversi, ranked 23rd, is a relaxing Othello game, recommended for its addictive gameplay and value. WB Mystery Prophecy Dream Seeing Cat, ranked 25th, is described as a Dreamcast media experience with a unique atmosphere and stylish presentation, enhanced by its use of the internet. The news also anticipates upcoming ranking changes and highlights Redline Racer and The House of the Dead 2. This page reports on Dreamcast software and hardware, noting a sales impact from Golden Week. It previews Redline Racer, a bike racing game praised for graphics and multiplayer but criticized for potential tedium, and the ASC2 Mission Stick, lauded for enhanced control in flight games despite small buttons. Reader comments discuss Seaman, Buru Buru Paku, and potential sequels, with opinions on upcoming games. A peripheral ranking highlights the Rumble Pack as top-rated. A contest challenges readers to predict the score of Dynamite Deca 2 inches for prizes. Finally, it announces a weekly special prize giveaway, with 5 winners receiving an arcade stick and visual memory set. This page features a preview for the Dreamcast sound novel adventure game Maboroshi Tsukiyo, which translates to Phantom Moon Knight. Developed by Sims, this is their first foray into the novel adventure genre on the Dreamcast. The game focuses on a bittersweet summer love story involving the protagonist and 9 heroines. It boasts impressive graphics with the Dreamcast's 16 million colors, aiming for a beautiful visual presentation and a deep, engaging scenario. The screenshots showcase typical visual novel scenes with character dialogues and anime-style artwork, including images of schoolgirls and a scene with a girl in a yukata against a backdrop of fireworks. A special reports section indicates the game is 65% complete, slated for release in summer 1999, priced at 5,800 yen, and will support the VM and vibration pack. The page also highlights the game's interface, emphasizing readable text and attention to visual detail, with most characters being fully voiced, aiming to provide a captivating experience with beautiful graphics. Maboroshi Tsukiyo is a Dreamcast summer love adventure game featuring 9 heroines. The game uses a multi-scenario system, allowing player choices to significantly impact the storyline and even the visuals. The narrative centers on a protagonist whose home is invaded by a ghost girl named Ayame. The game features characters designed by Tadamasa Yasue, including the protagonist's classmate Hazuki, her twin sister Misuzu, Ayame, childhood friend Yukira, elementary student Akemi, and school senior Minami. The game utilizes the VMU for unique features. It's more than just a memory card. It allows for character display, game-synchronized vibrations, and time-based in-game events. Internet connectivity enables players to unlock hidden content, like images and side stories. This page is showcasing a special demo version of Dynamite Cop 2, known as Dynamite Deca 2 in Japan, for the Dreamcast. This GDROM demo was included as an extra for readers. The page emphasizes that this demo lets players experience the appeal of Dynamite Cop 2 ahead of its full release. The demo allows players to experience the first half of Mission 2 from the main game. It also features a special preview movie and a bonus minigame called Tranquilizer Gun, which is a maze-like game, as an extra experience. The page details how to access the demo content, explaining that upon inserting the GDROM into the Dreamcast, the title screen appears like a normal game. Players can access different modes and enjoy content that might be restricted in the final product. It also mentions hidden detective elements that can be downloaded to a visual memory unit through the options menu. This page promotes the demo version of the game Dynamite Cop 2 for Dreamcast. This demo was included with Dreamcast Magazine's May 28th issue. The page provides usage instructions and warnings for the GDROM disc. It also features an image of the character Eddie, with a message indicating he will be in the full game. This page is a feature on the Sega Dreamcast game Dynamite Cop. It provides basic gameplay instructions for players. The page details the basic operations, such as walking, running, stepping, jumping, punching, kicking, and grabbing opponents. It explains how to perform these actions using the Dreamcast controller, such as using the D-pad for movement, pressing the P button for punch, and the K button for kick. It also introduces character-specific, special techniques, and combo lists for Bruno Dellinger. The page includes a table detailing various attack combos, starting from punches and kicks, and combinations from grappling. Examples include punch combinations like P greater than PPP greater than K, and kick combinations like K greater than KK greater than KK, with the asterisk indicating SP state execution. The page showcases screenshots of in-game action, highlighting combat scenarios and demonstrating the moves described. The next page showcases advanced techniques for Dynamite Cop, known as Die Hard Arcade 2 internationally. It's detailing different attack types, such as strikes and throws. There's a breakdown of various moves for the character Jean Ivy, including quick uppercuts, jumping knee strikes, flying kicks, and throws. The page also lists combination attacks for Jean, from punches and kicks, highlighting special power moves activated in SP mode. Character profiles for both Jean Ivy and Eddie Brown are featured at the bottom of the page. This Dreamcast demo of Criminal 2 features Stage 1, Invasion, with enhanced graphics. Players infiltrate a cruise ship seized by terrorists. Experimentation with combat is encouraged, including using environmental objects as weapons. Energy drinks restore health. The second scene introduces handgun-wielding enemies. Players can capture weapons using the P button and steal items with K. Some enemies cannot be captured. A caution section highlights quick-time events that reward success with health and punish failure with additional enemies. The final scene showcases powerful weaponry, like bazookas and anti-ship missiles, effective against groups. The demo culminates in a boss fight against Captain Cook and Madame Yan, who use punches and throws, requiring the use of ranged weapons and avoiding their jump attacks. Defeating them completes the demo. Included is a bonus minigame, Tranquilizer Gun, a retro arcade game where players tranquilize safari animals. The goal is to sedate and return animals to a trailer within a time limit, earning points. The trailer's fuel is depleted with movement. This page is focused on Dynamite Cop, known as Die Hard Arcade 2 internationally, showcasing Stage 2 Inside Ship. Scene 1 details using various items in the stage as weapons, like vacuum cleaners and vending machines. Scene 2 is about a toilet area, where you must press buttons correctly to proceed, or face an enemy. Scene 3 takes place in a Japanese restaurant, where you can use sushi as weapons, and you should avoid the back counter. The boss of this stage is Asunoyama Tomekichi, a Japanese cook, and you can use electric saws and refrigerators as weapons in this fight. This GDROM includes a demo called Element of a Detective, which allows you to power up the full game, and you can download demo data to your VM to use in the retail version. The demo data can also be downloaded from the game's official website later. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game Super Producers, a simulation game where you become a music producer, aiming for the top of the charts. The preview highlights two key aspects of the game: auditions and makeup. The audition section explains how players search for new talent, emphasizing stats like motivation, popularity, dexterity, and balance, showing a screenshot of an audition screen with a potential artist named Kaya and her attributes. The makeup section details how, after signing an artist, players can customize their appearance using a makeup menu, influencing their image by changing hair and clothing styles to match their music genre, showing a screenshot of the makeup interface with options for looks and fashion, and customizable colors. The game is described as a network-compatible artist development simulation and is scheduled for release in September. It is also mentioned as a Hudson Soft title, with an undetermined price at the time of the article. This page is about the game Super Producers, which focuses on debuting as an artist and making it big from the local charts to the world stage via the internet. It highlights the network aspect of the game called World Chart, allowing players to compete with others online in real-time popularity contests. The page details the genre select feature, where players choose musical genres like pop, ballad, rock, techno, and others. It shows screenshots of character customization options, including clothing like kimonos and suits, and mentions that vocal ability and feeling are important for ballads. The game seems to involve nurturing an artist and aiming for the #1 spot in the charts. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game Super Producer. This simulation game allows you to train singers of all genres, from idols to enka artists. The Select Singer section showcases a character selection screen displaying singer stats like motivation, popularity, charisma, looks, dexterity, and balance. The Debut section explains the audition process, where you discover talent, make them up, and decide their selling point. As a producer, you aim for #1 hits, nurturing both pop idols and enka stars. Year-end events and scandals are mentioned as part of the gameplay. The main screen displays a cityscape, which is the game's stage. It shows the in-game time and your funds. Command options like debut, promote, downtown, chart, and online are available to progress the game. Downtown shows a city map with locations like street, club, bar, and disco. You can visit these locations, encounter people, and check out music trends. Minigames are also mentioned. The Internet section details online commands like World Audition and World Debut. You can access online charts and participate in network debut events. Other options include releasing /singer, session, chart, information, homepage home, and help, letting players compete and interact online. This page introduces Super Producers, a game where you become a music producer. It outlines 3 key aspects of the gameplay: promotion, live performances, and chart success. Promotion involves various activities for a debuting singer, from composing songs to designing album jackets and even securing tie-ins with TV commercials. Live performances are highlighted as crucial for boosting the artist's recognition and income, allowing for extravagant stage productions. The ultimate objective is to dominate the music charts. The page emphasizes that successful CD sales promotion and live performances are key to chart success. Reaching the #1 spot on the charts unlocks endings, not just for the singer, but also for the producer. The final goal is to achieve the #1 position across all music genres. The goals section explicitly states these objectives: to get your singer to #1, to become the #1 producer, and to conquer all genre charts. Screenshots showcase menus for selecting album packages and organizing live events, displaying options for venue choice, performance duration, and audience size. This page is a special report from Dreamcast Magazine focusing on the overwhelming anticipation for the game Shenmue. The headline screams, "This shocking image you must see," emphasizing the visual impact of the game, which was first showcased at the Tokyo Game Show. The article highlights the incredibly realistic graphics, especially the character faces and expressions, stating it's beyond anything seen before on Dreamcast. There's a feature box that lists details for Shenmue Chapter 1 Yokosuka, slated for release on August 5th, and Shenmue Second Chapter, temporary title, also in development. Both games are noted as free, with full reactive eyes entertainment, likely referring to the game's immersive and reactive elements. The page reports on the Network Jungle 2 event, described as Shenmue Forest, where the game was presented for 3 days, leaving attendees in awe. The event featured a grand opening and was packed with people. The image character for Network Jungle 2 is the pink gorilla. The bottom section of the page talks about a big event and mentions that there will be a special program about it on NHK featuring a guest, Tomoko Kaneda. There's also a Shenmue Girl contest, where attendees voted for their favorite companion girl from the game, with the winner being chosen as #1. This page is a detailed preview of Shenmue, referred to as Shenmue Forest, showcasing the game's impressive graphics and character models. The high polygon count faces are highlighted, emphasizing the realistic expressions and detailed features of characters like Shenhua, who is described as having incredibly beautiful hair. It mentions that at the event, attendees could actually control these high-end face models on the Dreamcast, using analog controls for zoom, rotation, and lighting adjustments. The page also covers events held at the Shenmue Forest, including a Shenmue Mini Live, with piano performances of Shenmue themes and traditional Chinese instrument performances. There was also a free battle time attack, where 50 participants competed in free battles, and a large Affleco tournament, presumably a voice acting contest, where participants dubbed lines from the game. Finally, there was an AM2 Research Hidden Item Auction, featuring rare items from the development team, with proceeds going to UNICEF. New Shenmue merchandise was also unveiled at the event, including t-shirts and phone cards. This page from Dreamcast Magazine is packed with information about the upcoming Shenmue game and events surrounding it. The page highlights the Network Jungle 2 event held from May 1st to 3rd, suggesting attendees were fortunate to experience new information firsthand. It reveals that at this event, Sega distributed Atsumete Shenmue, which this time featured 12 characters, building on the 3 characters previously shown at the Tokyo Game Show. Character portraits for Tony, Smith, Maeda Mikaki, Kikuchen, Yuri, Duck, and Sao Ryu are showcased. The event also featured playable minigames, specifically darts and slot machines. Darts cost 100 yen for 5 darts and served as a preview for Excite QTE2. Furthermore, attendees could experience the atmosphere of Shenmue's world at the Game Center U booth, where classic Sega arcade games like Afterburner, Space Harrier, and Hang-On from 1986 could be played. The page culminates with a report on a special talk show featuring Yu Suzuki. The discussion covered the impressive high-end visuals of Shenmue, character creation, and the technical details of polygon counts and facial expressions. Suzuki highlighted the focus on realistic lip syncing with recorded voice data, a significant technological achievement at the time. It was also confirmed that Shenmue was being developed as Chapter 1 of a larger story. This report details Shenmue, showcasing its immersive gameplay. The game features a dynamic world with detailed NPC schedules, illustrated by a day in the life of Harusan. Emotionally resonant scenes, such as Shenhua's expressions, are enhanced by advanced animation and environmental effects. Players can explore via bicycles and motorbikes, with movement freedom. Ryo's skills evolve through a technique transmission system and home training. Shenmue boasts a vast scale, with numerous NPCs and a scenario exceeding that of a typical film. The report highlights detailed interactions like buying cola and incorporates QTE sequences. A team leader diary praises the demo's quality. The development team, experienced in driving games, successfully integrated vehicles into the Shenmue experience, promising a rich and interactive world filled with content. This page showcases an emergency direct hit coverage report focusing on Death Crimson 2, revealing that it takes place in Osaka. The article humorously describes a pilgrimage to Osaka, referring to it as the holy ground for Death Crimson fans, and highlights a visit to the offices of Ecole, the developers of the game. The report details observations around the Ecole building in Osaka, including a 50-yen arcade next door, a karaoke box on the second floor of the building, and confirms Ecole's offices are located on the 5th and 6th floors, creating a playful narrative of discovering the Holy Land of Death Crimson. This page highlights Death Crimson 2, referring to it as Death Crimson 2, with the headline, Whispering Evil Trap. It humorously portrays the game as a dangerous and mysterious experience, describing the team entering a sacred ground and encountering a trap. There's a comedic tone as they react to the supposed traps, with images of a person looking surprised and scared. The page then shifts to discuss the legendary status of Death Crimson in Akihabara. It emphasizes the game's popularity and how it became a sought-after item, even being resold at high prices. The article mentions that t-shirts were sold with Death Crimson 2 and that there were demo booths where people could play the game. The game is even referred to as Desusama, implying a revered status. Finally, there's a section about the Ecole headquarters passage, which is humorously dubbed Bappa Bappa Ann Mountain, Laugh, likely referring to a large pile of boxes related to the game or company, indicating the scale of its production or distribution. Overall, the page promotes Death Crimson 2 with a mix of humor and hype, emphasizing its legendary status and popularity. The next page is an article titled, Death Crimson 2 is quite serious, you know. It's a Dreamcast scoop showing off the sequel to Death Crimson, taking place in Osaka. The article features interviews with the development team, discussing the game's improvements over the original. They mention that the original Death Crimson was made by children, but this sequel is being made by adults who understand games better. They are focusing on the graphics and aiming for a much higher quality visual experience. Screenshots show in-game scenes running on multiple monitors, highlighting the improved graphical detail. The team is working on motion capture for realistic character movements, something they didn't have in-house before. They mention they are aiming for a balance between shooting and adventure elements in Death Crimson 2. The article also discusses the locations they visited for texture sourcing, including over 40 countries. They specifically mention Israel and the Dead Sea for unique textures, and Turkey, particularly Istanbul and the Blue Mosque, which will be featured as locations in the game, specifically as Asylum Hall. They emphasize their dedication to sourcing the highest quality textures directly from real-world locations for the game. Ecole is developing Death Crimson 2 for the Dreamcast, with key developers providing insights. Planning and Production General Manager Manabe Kenji highlights the game's substantial size, blending shooting and adventure stages with an estimated 34-day completion time, and emphasizes the importance of score attack mode and an opening movie. Graphics director Akasaka Mineko promises a renewed effort to avoid a boring game and meet fan expectations. Programmer Sawada Shinya discusses improving motion data and responsiveness, along with graphical enhancements, particularly with metallic objects and character designs. Merchandise, including a popular t-shirt, is planned, with possibilities of a gun controller set, music CD, and a demo for Dreamcast Magazine readers. The game will support 4-player simultaneous play. The t-shirts went on sale on May 16th, with the full game showcased on May 28th. The next page is a special report for Pro Yaku Team o Tsukuru, which translates to Let's Make a Pro Baseball Team. This is a sports training simulation game from Sega for the Dreamcast, scheduled for release on July 15th for 5,800 yen. It's a single-player game where you manage one of the listed Japanese professional baseball teams: Dragons, Blue Wave, Fighters, Lions, Swallows, Tigers, Giants, Buffaloes, Marines, Hawks, Baystars, and Carp. The page details the game's core objective: to become the #1 team in Japan within 10 years. Game over can occur if you fail to meet the owner's expectations, run out of operating funds, or have too few players. You start by choosing your team, then you can change the original team name, confront the owner, choose secretarial staff, decide on your hometown, and edit your team. Screenshots show in-game menus and scenes of team management, highlighting features like team selection and owner interaction. The text emphasizes the exciting gameplay, where you aim for national baseball dominance. This page is all about team reorganization funds in professional baseball, let's make a team, and how best to utilize the initial 1 billion yen budget. It explains two approaches to team building: self-selection, where you manually pick players, and recommended selection, letting the game suggest players. The recommended option is suggested for quick game starts, using archetypes like gun batting, Kichiri control, and Hatsuratsu young players. It also details how to fine-tune your team after the initial selection, especially if you are not satisfied with the recommended players, advising on adjusting player choices based on salary and performance. The page further discusses how to use the 1 billion yen budget, suggesting you can either spend it all on acquiring top players or save some for operating funds. Saving money is highlighted as beneficial for facility purchases later. The page points out that using all the funds to acquire top players is an immediate power boost, but a balanced approach may be better for long-term team development. Finally, it showcases a player name guess quiz, featuring stylized baseball player characters, prompting readers to guess who they are. The answer is promised on page 27. This page introduces stadium management as a key element in a Dreamcast baseball game. It details various stadium-related features that players will need to manage, including stadium capacity, maintenance costs, repair funds, and the countdown to required repairs. The page also highlights optional stadium upgrades, such as large video screens and VIP seating, as well as the number of vendors and types of grass available for the field. The stadium expansion section explains that upgrading the stadium increases capacity and visually transforms its appearance. The stadium repair section emphasizes the importance of maintaining the stadium to avoid degradation and ensure its upkeep through repairs. At the bottom, there is a player quiz section featuring cartoon baseball player characters numbered 7 through 12, asking, "Who is this?" This section is likely a fun quiz for readers to test their knowledge of baseball players. The next page details how to train your players effectively by using training equipment. It mentions that players improve faster with better facilities. There are different types of training equipment to improve pitching, batting, and overall physical ability. Examples of training equipment are dumbbells and iron arrays, power ankles, tee machines, tomboy and rollers, indoor practice areas, and medical rooms. The page highlights that buying better equipment allows you to purchase even more effective equipment later. It also mentions the medical room can help players recover from injuries and fatigue faster. There is also information about stadium rental, allowing players to rent out the stadium for events like concerts and car events to generate temporary income. The occurrence conditions for this are unknown, but it is described as a good way to earn extra money. Finally, it talks about fan clubs and how they are an essential element for team management. Fan club features have been slightly changed from the Sega Saturn version. In the Dreamcast version, you set a monthly fan club contribution amount, which is then deducted monthly from your funds. The amount set is deducted every month from March to October. It also notes that Fan Appreciation Day can be held at the end of the year depending on your funds. A character named Yununa Migaki is introduced as a secretary. She is described as loving rock and roll and supports the players. This page introduces the concept of original teams in a baseball game, allowing players to create unique teams instead of using existing ones. It highlights that 2 original teams could be carried over from the Saturn version, and now 6 new ones have been added, totaling 8 to choose from. The page describes 8 distinct original teams: ants, hippopotamus, praco, parakeet, bucks, pumpkins, hammerheads, snakes, and dynamites, each with a unique theme and character design. The page also discusses how the basic data of these original teams is handled within the game, explaining that they are fundamentally based on existing teams and retain their core data. Player data and team popularity remain consistent even when using original teams. It suggests that this feature adds a layer of enjoyment beyond simply managing existing teams. This page is a direct interview with the developers of Ooh! Let's Make a Professional Baseball Team. The developers, director Ryusai Sagawa, planner Yasuhito Baba, and designer Katsuhiko Sato, discuss user feedback from the Saturn version and how they have implemented it into the Dreamcast version. They mention improvements to the interface and the addition of scenarios to enhance gameplay. They also highlight the online tournament functionality planned for the Dreamcast version, where players can register data on Sega's servers and participate in regular tournaments. The developers expressed their desire to create a game that truly reflects user feedback and to improve upon the Saturn version's shortcomings, particularly regarding game interface and user experience. They also touch upon the fan club feature and mention events utilizing player voting, especially around All-Star time, hinting at interactive elements beyond just gameplay. At the bottom, there is a quiz answer section listing baseball players, presumably related to a quiz elsewhere in the magazine. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast version of Sega Worldwide Soccer 2000, known in Japan as J-League Pro Soccer Club wo Tsukuru, Perfect Sakatsuku. The page highlights the improved motion quality in the Dreamcast version, stating there's no compromise in its development. It emphasizes the use of motion capture from Urakawa Reds players Shinji Ono and Yuichi Komano to enhance realism. The special report box details key features. It's a Sega game, planned for release in autumn 1999, price undecided, categorized as a sports simulation, and compatible peripheral details are yet to be determined. The article mentions that the Dreamcast version boasts increased polygon counts for player models and more joints to create realistic movements, promising a visually enhanced experience for fans. This page is all about the Dreamcast game J-League Pro Soccer Club wo Tsukuru, a Japan-exclusive soccer management simulation. The page is showcasing the game's focus on realistic player movements, stating that they have improved player models by increasing the number of joints, especially in the feet, to make actions like running and trapping the ball more realistic. It also highlights the use of motion capture from actual professional soccer players to further enhance the authenticity of the in-game animations, ensuring that the movements are true to life. Screenshots show in-game action and behind-the-scenes motion capture sessions, emphasizing the commitment to realism in player animations. This page introduces Frame Gride, where players assemble their own frame gride to battle. It focuses on basic attack methods and computer battles. The page explains how to view the game screen and the main operation methods and attack types. The screen explanations include the armor gauge, which displays the durability of the armor, the reload gauge, which represents weapon energy and decreases when attacking, and the FP gauge, which indicates the unit's durability. Reaching 0 means destruction. The attack section details sword attacks, which are powerful close-range attacks, effective for breaking armor, and magic attacks for ranged combat. It mentions that controls include directional buttons for movement and rotation, D-pad plus A for dash, A for jump, X for guard, L and R for parallel movement, and analog directional keys for viewpoint movement. Finally, a section titled "This is how it will be in the final version" reveals the addition of a square gauge in the final version to represent the durability and remaining units of the square. Its placement and function in the final game are still unknown at this stage, but details are awaited. The next page showcases Frame Gride, a 3D fighting mech action game from Software. This special report focuses on attack patterns, detailing various moves and button combinations. The page highlights different attack types like sword and punch attacks, back attacks with explosions, magic attacks, and barrier techniques. It also mentions unreleased attack patterns, suggesting new information being revealed. Screenshots illustrate these attacks in action. The game is described as a 3D fighting mech action title, slated for release in July, and priced at 6,800 yen. The page emphasizes checking out these patterns to get a grasp on the game's combat system. The Knights of Felberg are key antagonists in Frame Gride's story, wielding ancient weapons to conquer territories. Players will face 3 central knights and their Frame Grides, which are heavily influenced by attribute compatibility. Weapon damage increases when using an advantageous attribute based on the following cycle: fire-wind, wind-earth, earth-water, water-fire. The page introduces 3 knights. Uses: Udolpho, the young knight of grace, is compassionate but impulsive, using standard equipment. Lutral, the knight of midnight, is a reckless, heavy weapon specialist. Livnit. Lucilius, the knight of roses, is a silent, sadistic aesthete who eliminates anything he deems impure. This page highlights the stage designs for the Dreamcast title Virtual On Oratorio Tangram. It showcases diverse battle arenas, emphasizing how the stage environments impact combat strategies. The Forgotten Temple stage features pillars for strategic positioning, beautiful sunset and snow scenery, and dynamically changing terrain. The Battle Cave stage has uneven ground and a low ceiling, limiting jump height, and thus influencing combat styles. The article notes that stages in this game are not just designed for fighting, but also to express the game's world and create a natural feel, with fewer artificial stages. Finally, the Fallen Bridge stage is set on a snowy bridge with varying heights that offer strategic advantages, especially from higher positions, and narrow sections that make movement critical. This page is a special report for the Dreamcast version of Street Fighter 03, which is also known internationally as Street Fighter Alpha 3. Published by Capcom, the Dreamcast version was scheduled for release in July 1999 at a price of 5,800 yen. A Sega Saturn version was also mentioned, with the release date undecided, but the software price also set at 5,800 yen. There was also a bundle option available for 7,800 yen that included a necessary 4 MB expansion RAM cartridge. The page features screenshots of the game arranged in the shape of DC, highlighting the Dreamcast platform, and notes that the screenshots are from a development build. This page is dedicated to Street Fighter 03, known internationally as Street Fighter Alpha 3. The page highlights the game's impressive evolution from the arcade to the home console, emphasizing its high quality as a port. It mentions the volume of content and the satisfying head-to-head battle system. The text praises the balanced fusion of the original arcade game with added elements that make it a must-have title. While acknowledging other console versions exist, the article positions the Dreamcast version of Street Fighter 03 as the undisputed strongest home console version available at that time, before the release of the DC and Saturn versions. The page features numerous screenshots showcasing the game's colorful and fast-paced fighting action. This page highlights the Dreamcast version differences for a game, showcasing an evolved World Tour mode. It emphasizes character development and strategic elements within this mode, suggesting it's a core part of the gameplay experience. The page points out that the Dreamcast version has more displayed information compared to the PlayStation version. The page also covers Sega Saturn news, titled Unknown Form South, focusing on Street Fighter 03. It teases new information about the game, including screenshots of gameplay on the Saturn version, with characters like Guile battling Thin and Sakura fighting Karin. The article suggests more details will be revealed in future coverage. This page highlights the Dreamcast version of Street Fighter 03, known as Street Fighter Alpha 3 internationally, emphasizing its unique features. The dramatic battle mode is showcased, allowing for 3-player simultaneous versus matches, a step up from the usual 2-player battles in fighting games. The article also details the online capabilities of the Dreamcast version, enabling players to connect to Capcom's homepage, participate in ranked matches at the Saikyoryu Dojo, and interact with other players on message boards. Screenshots demonstrate the fast-paced action, with characters like Dhalsim facing Guki and Chun-Li battling Sakura. The page also mentions the game's faithful arcade porting, promising a complete recreation of the arcade experience on the Dreamcast. Characters like Cody, Guy, Zangief, and Armika are also visible in screenshots showcasing different match scenarios. This page details several game modes likely from Street Fighter Alpha 3. Dramatic Battle is a 2v1 CPU mode. Survival mode challenges players to defeat waves of opponents, allowing 1 to 3 players. Team Battle allows players to create teams of 1 to 3 characters, differing from standard versus modes. Final Battle is a CPU battle to defeat the final boss, granting character endings upon completion. The page mentions the Saturn version, noting it appears complete, and hints at potential differences or additions for a Dreamcast version. Screenshots showcase gameplay with characters like Ryu, Guile, and Blanca, alongside interface elements, and the character select screen. This page details the various modes available in Street Fighter 03, Street Fighter Alpha 3 in the West. It showcases training mode for practicing techniques with a stationary CPU opponent, and arcade mode, a single-player mode with unique character storylines and endings. VS mode is highlighted as the standard 1 versus 1 player versus player mode. Score ranking mode allows players to view rankings across different modes like arcade, survival, and dramatic battle. The page then discusses which console version to choose between the Dreamcast and Sega Saturn releases, pointing out the Dreamcast version's advantages with additional modes such as online play and VS dramatic battle. The article suggests that Dreamcast owners should consider the DC version due to these added features, even though both versions are based on the arcade release and the Saturn version also has unique elements. Screenshots illustrate gameplay in VS mode, dramatic battle mode, and the training mode select screen. This article previews the Dreamcast game D2, focusing on the highly detailed hand models. These models, rendered with a higher polygon count than the entire character in some games, are crucial for achieving realism. Developers meticulously crafted the hands, emphasizing feminine beauty with details like knuckles, fingernails, and nail polish. They aim to convey subtle emotions and expressions through hand movements, going beyond simple object handling. The game information panel reveals the game is still in development. It's priced at 5,800 yen and is an action RPG with visual memory support and communication compatibility, spread across 2 CD-ROM discs. The developer teases a major announcement and encourages anticipation for D2. This article, Character Model Part 2, focuses on realistic character animation in games, using a character named Laura as an example. Developers are moving beyond basic animations to achieve more human-like movements. Key aspects discussed include realistic hair movement, ensuring it flows naturally and doesn't obscure the character's face, particularly in dramatic scenes. The article details animating a simple head turn, emphasizing the synchronized movement of the head, shoulders, and body. Further, it explains how they simulate flowing hair when the character bows. Multiple hair patterns are used to create dynamic effects. The article concludes with an example of Laura resting, hinting at future improvements to hair animation. The overall goal is to enhance visual realism in game characters through meticulous animation details. D2 employs advanced technology for realistic snow environments and immersive sound. The game uses real-time polygon rendering to simulate light and shadow dynamically, with calculations based on light source positions and surface angles. Snow is rendered in 3Ds, incorporating volume, direction, and speed, while wind affects objects like trees. The sound design focuses on directional audio through a sound source generation approach. Sound dynamically changes based on the player's location relative to sound sources. For example, the sound of wind and a fireplace alters as the player moves within a hut, creating a 3D-like audio experience, enhancing the game's immersion, especially during gameplay experienced by the character Laura. This page is about the Dreamcast game D2. It focuses on the game's field and sound design. The field section, Step 4, details environmental effects like snow smoke and dynamic weather. The game uses a layered ground structure, described in Step 2, with a base ground and snow surface, influencing character movement and vehicle control, particularly for snowmobiles. Step 5, Sound, highlights D2's ambient sound design, emphasizing a rich soundscape with both high and low frequencies. To fully appreciate the sound, external speakers and amplifiers are recommended. The page mentions improvements in sound quality from the trial version to the final product. There's also a section about para anime related to snow trails visualization. Screenshots show the character Laura exploring snowy landscapes. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast RPG, Time Stalkers, originally known as Climax Landers in Japan. It's all about the impressive visuals, showcasing character artwork, and 3D screenshots that give you a taste of the gameplay. The release date is set for July 15th in Japan, priced at 5,800 yen. It's an RPG and supports the visual memory, rumble pack, and VGA box. The developers are clearly hyped, saying it's super fun and urging players to rush to stores when it's out. There's also a mention of a game system check on page 56 if you want more details. The next page is about the Dreamcast game Elemental Gimmick Gear, focusing on its intriguing volcano piece combination concept. It highlights the game's development progress, noting that while still in development, the prologue/intro events were already polished. The article emphasizes the shift from 2D illustrations to 3D polygons, bringing characters to life in a way not previously seen. The game world is described as lively and mosaic-like, with a focus on impressive cinematic direction and sword actions. The page also details the freedom of exploration, allowing players to walk and stop at will within the world and even change viewpoints. The environments include volcanoes and floating islands, creating a surreal world populated by unique and quirky characters. The game is set in a strange world, but filled with human drama. There's a section promoting a pre-release Big Belly plan and a Get It minigame campaign implementation. This campaign, running from May 22nd to June 10th at various locations including Joyopolis, Sega Akihabara, and Sega World Stores, is offering 3 downloadable minigames for VM. Suyudaku IV, which is described as a puzzle game where the deeper you get the more engrossing it becomes, What Yogurt, where you observe the mystery of living yogurt, and Desperate Editor, which is a dot picture editor for aspiring pixel artists, with the ability to save multiple pictures. The aim is to let people experience these mini-games before the full game release. They are encouraging players to get all three. This page is a game preview focusing on the Dreamcast title Clock Tower, which is subtitled First Fear. It introduces the game by showcasing two dungeons available in the demo version, the Clock Tower and the Fire Mountain Cave. The article emphasizes that these dungeons serve as tutorial areas to teach players the basic gameplay systems and dungeon exploration mechanics of Clock Tower. The preview highlights the on-screen status display, which includes HP, hit points, MP, magic points, VIT vitality, and a fullness gauge. It explains what each stat represents, such as HP for health, MP for magic, VIT for vitality used in skills, and fullness, which decreases over time and affects HP when empty. The article mentions that the game is not entirely real-time, especially in dungeons, and players need to be mindful of their stats and resources. It also points out that the Clock Tower dungeon is designed to introduce players to puzzle solving and exploration, with sword combat being a key element. The screenshots show in-game scenes of dungeon exploration, combat encounters, and menu interfaces, illustrating the gameplay and user interface of Clock Tower First Fear. The Fire Cave is a challenging dungeon in an action RPG following the Clock Tower. It demands players utilize learned techniques. The first floor is spacious and populated with numerous enemies. Unlike previous areas, items found here are genuinely useful. Players are advised to collect everything, as even common items may prove valuable. The dungeon introduces visual cues for enemy aggressions. Highly aggressive enemies display smoke, while less aggressive enemies show musical notes. A risky search command reveals traps but consumes stamina, making overuse detrimental. Screenshots illustrate the dungeon environment, character interactions, UI, and enemy aggression indicators. This page highlights a special report on the Dreamcast for the upcoming game, Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes. This title is positioned as the third side story within the Universal Century Gundam timeline, following The Blue Destiny and the 08 THMS Team OVA series. The game focuses on the backdrop of Colony no Ochita Chide, which translates to In the Rubble of Colony. It's being developed by Bandai and is slated for release in June, priced at 6,800 yen. It will be a 3D shooting game for a single player. The article is likely intended to deepen understanding of the game by focusing on its backstory and world building. The page features artwork showcasing the game with mobile suits and a tank in a desert setting, emphasizing the gritty, battlefield atmosphere of the One-Year War Gaiden, or side story. This page details the One-Year War in the Gundam universe, specifically through the lens of the Dreamcast game Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story at the site of the Fallen Colony. The page is divided into two sections, File 1-inch and File 2. File 1-inch covers the war's beginning, including the disastrous colony drop on Australia, a result of Operation British, and the devastating one-week war, which claimed approximately 30 million lives. File 2 inches focuses on Zeon's ground invasion strategy after the failure at Jaburo, emphasizing resource acquisition and the occupation of 2/3 of Earth. The page also chronologically lists key battles of the One-Year War, such as the Battle of Odessa, where the new mobile suit Jim was introduced. Screenshots from the game illustrate the mobile suits and in-game briefing screens. This page highlights the Dreamcast game focusing on the Australia counterattack operation in what looks like Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes. It details the tactical command system used in the game, where you can issue commands to your squad using the BIC system interface. The page focuses on the move and search commands, explaining how to move units on the map and set search parameters to prioritize combat. It introduces the White Dingo Team, a special MS task force, and specifically mentions Maximilian Berger, known as FANG-3 in combat, who is described as a skilled soldier with high adaptability. This page showcases the game Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes, known in Japan as Kidu Senshi Gundam Gaiden, Colony no Ochita Daiichi De. The page focuses on the game's command system, highlighting the attack and guard mechanics within the BIC system, Battle Integration Control System. It details how players issue commands like move, search, attack, and guard to units, and select battle styles such as short, middle, and long-range combat, influenced by the terrain and enemy positioning. The page also introduces Leon Rifei, a character codenamed Fang-G2, who is portrayed as a cool and collected former mobile suit pilot. A news section highlights the game as a Gundam Side Story 0079 title, and teases the involvement of a Gundam possessing the brain of Amuro Ray. Lastly, the page gives gameplay advice, warning players to be cautious when their mobile suit starts sparking, indicating low durability and the need for retreat and support. This page reveals details about the upcoming Dreamcast game, Planet Sunrise. The game is set on a massive planet enveloped in thick clouds, where continents are isolated from each other. The story kicks off with a journey from the continent of Claudia. We get introduced to the main characters. Kanji Akatsuki, a 17-year-old with strong intuition and a pilot of the fort, and his younger sister, Ria Akatsuki, a bright 16-year-old and also a pilot. Lund Forest, a 17-year-old girl involved with mysterious robots, is also featured. The mechanics section showcases two types of mecha. The FT, Flying Trooper, is a latest model used by Kanji for aerial combat. The GT, Grand Trooper, is mentioned as the machine piloted by Kanji's father, Q, a hero from the Third Claudia War. The page mentions that Planet Sunrise is part of the Sunrise Hero Legends series and is described as a battle RPG for 1 to 2 players, expected to be released in December 1999. A developer comment states that the game is nearing completion, with staff working hard towards release. The story and characters are mostly finalized, about 80% complete at the time of this magazine. This page showcases upcoming battle effects scenes, with impressive CG quality, focusing on test versions of robot animations. It previews locations and characters from various anime series. The Terra Continent section from Mobile Suit Gundam highlights Solomon as a key battleground, presenting characters such as Bright Noah, Char Aznable, and Kycilia Zabi. Mecha showcased include the RX-782 Gundam and MS-06S Zaku II. The Astragas Continent, from Armored Trooper Votoms, details the history of endless battles over 100 years. Characters like Fiona, Ypsilon, Joran Pielsen, and Jean-Paul Rochina are introduced. Mechanical units include the ATM-09 ST Scope Dog, XATX-02 Strike Dog, and ATM-09 GC Bluedish Dog. Animation comparisons are presented between Dagram and Zaku II, highlighting the detailed motion and impact effects. Finally, new characters and mecha are revealed, including Shishio Gai from Brave King Gao Gaigar, Roddy Shuffle from Blue Comet SPT Leisner, and Zwarth from Aura Battler Dunbine. The XATM-02 DT Rapidly Dog from Armored Trooper VOTOMS is also featured. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game, Carrier. The page highlights the visual and event quality improvements made to the game. It mentions that the game is 52% complete and is being developed by Jaleco, aiming for a summer release. It's described as an action-adventure game that will be more terrifying. The page also reveals the voice cast for the game, featuring names such as Hirokazu Yamadera as Jack Eaglefeather, Kikuko Inoue as Jennifer Manning, Nobuo Tanaka as Aaron Park, Tetsu Ayono as William Noble, and Kenyu Horiuchi as Nicholas Lang. Screenshots on the page show in-game scenes and map interfaces, emphasizing the detailed visuals and user-friendly map system, where room names and player locations are clearly displayed. The game's prologue is briefly mentioned, describing a survey team encountering a welcoming system, and the protagonist Jack witnessing a completely stopped aircraft carrier. This page focuses on the Dreamcast game Carrier. It's a survival horror title where the player, Jack Eaglefeathers of the investigation team, is sent to investigate a silent aircraft carrier. He finds the crew has turned into monstrous creatures. The game emphasizes the tense atmosphere and high drama. Jack is searching for his brother Robert, a pilot. He encounters terrifying plant-like alien enemies, massive in scale, and navigates through environments, from the pilot's control room to the hangar. The narrative highlights the urgency of the situation and the desperation to find out what happened, as the carrier, Heimdall, is being overrun. Gameplay involves combat against creatures and exploration to find the source of the infection, indicated as something called ARC. The page showcases screenshots depicting the eerie atmosphere, the mutated enemies, and Jack in various tense situations, emphasizing the horror and action elements. This page covers the game Espionagents from NEC Home Electronics, a simulation title that was 47% complete at the time of this magazine and scheduled for a September release, priced at 5,800 yen. The developers mention they are working hard on the game, particularly on audio recording and voice acting. This article reveals new information about the game, focusing on new characters and the first mission. Espionagents puts you in the world of industrial espionage, where an organization called BHTZSTRA is involved in illegal activities behind the scenes of politics and economics. You play as agents following orders from this organization. The game's core feature is its 4-screen parallel processing system, showing real-time character movements and allowing for strategic situation assessment with multiple paths to success. The first mission detailed is Art and Data Acquisition, where players must infiltrate the Michelle Fowler Museum to steal art and data, a request from curator Mond Schutain. The page introduces 2 key characters. Malebranche, a legendary agent whose details are mostly unknown, described as a highly skilled lone wolf, and Sophie Plum, a spy who uses her beauty as a weapon. Character files provide details on both agents like their nationality, age, height, and weight. This page is from the reader submission section called Guru Powers. It opens with reader comments in Dream Plaza, where a brother and sister discuss the Dreamcast game D2, with the brother excited about its release. Another reader writes in about switching from Sega Saturn to PlayStation, but is now enjoying Dreamcast games like Rent-A-Hero and Virtual On. Someone else is smitten with the idea of a jet girl as their ideal woman. A reader also notes the oddity of Rent-A-Hero being ported to Dreamcast while Seikima 2 is getting a TV anime adaptation. Lastly, a reader recounts getting caught using the internet late at night. The page includes manga-style illustrations and character portraits named Kakyoin Noriaki, Kaz Maru, Egataki Sasa, and the Uzume siblings with a cat. Games mentioned are D2, Rent-A-Hero, and Virtual On. This page showcases reader submissions to Dreamcast Magazine, focusing on illustrations and comic strips related to Dreamcast games, particularly Seaman and Soul Calibur. The Gulgulu comic section features short comics and comments. One comic mentions Seaman, depicting a transformation from a seahorse to Seaman. There are also comments from readers about Seaman and the upcoming Dreamcast micro device, wondering how to play Seaman. The Illust Garden section highlights fan art based on Dreamcast characters and games. One illustration is of a female character, likely inspired by a Dreamcast game, and asks if her look can be seen in the Dreamcast version. Another section focuses on Soul Calibur Special Feature Part 1, showcasing fan art of characters from Soul Calibur and Astal. There's fan art of Sophicia from Soul Calibur, and other original character designs inspired by Dreamcast games, including a masked figure and a sword-wielding woman. The theme for this illustration section is Summer-Suited Character. This page is a reader submission section called Gul Powers from Dreamcast Magazine, where readers send in drawings and questions. The page features fan art submissions from readers with various drawing styles and humorous captions. There are also joke Q&A sections answering reader questions in a funny way. Regarding games, Soul Calibur on Dreamcast is heavily featured with character screenshots and fan art of Xianghua, Sophidia, Mitsurugi, and Kilik. The fan comments mention excitement for the Dreamcast version and the characters' designs. One Q&A section discusses processing slowdowns in games, mentioning polygon usage. Another Q&A humorously defines Coca-Cola Kid and Sega AM3 Labs AM as amusement-related and arcade machines. The page also includes humorous reader questions about tears and controlling games with cat hands, which are answered with joke responses. Overall, the page is a lighthearted community page, centered around reader contributions and highlighting the Dreamcast game Soul Calibur. This page is a section called Dream Encounter. The first section reviews the Sega Saturn game King Colossus, calling it a dark fantasy action RPG with engaging gameplay. Another section shows a humorous character drawing and the phrase, "Why is it 100?" There are reader submission areas titled Forest of Earthlings and If We Can Meet in a Dream, featuring fan art and game comments. A review for the PlayStation game Klonoa, Door to Phantomile, is also present, highlighting the enjoyable dreamlike world and gameplay. Submission guidelines for reader content are provided. Fan art for the Saturn game, Yukinko Panic, is showcased, depicting a character. Another humorous section is titled, This Week's Onita. A reader submission section is called, Still R in Active Service, Again and Again R. Finally, a reader comment section mentions 1 and 2 pack, likely referring to Konami GB Collection Volume 1 and 2. This page is an advertisement from B1, a game retailer. It highlights new and upcoming games for Dreamcast, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn, along with soundtracks and hardware. For Dreamcast, it advertises upcoming titles like King of Fighters Dream Match 1999 and Climax Landers, both priced at 5,800 yen and scheduled for release on June 10th. The various game lineup for Dreamcast lists several available games, including Redline Racer, Marita Shogi Saikyu Shogi, Strongest Shogi, Marita no Saikyu Reversi, Strongest Reversi, Digital Horse Racing Newspaper My Trackman, Get Base with Fishing Controller, The House of the Dead 2, Blue Stinger, Super Speed Racing, Sangokushi the Sixth, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 6, and Sonic Adventure. For PlayStation, new releases mentioned are Tokyo Majin, Gakuen Ken Perocho, Ace Combat 3, and Cotton Original, all released on May 27th. Pre-orders are being taken for games like Super Robot Wars Complete Box and Grandia, both scheduled for June 24th. Sega Saturn new releases include Black Matrix. The page also promotes a soundtrack CD called Eternal Melody Soundtrack and lists various game hardware available for purchase, including Dreamcast, Neo Geo Pocket Color, Game Boy Color, Nintendo 64, and Sega Saturn. There is also a note about mail order conditions and shipping costs. This page is from a weekly reading planning section titled Habit Bad and is volume 24. The main article is about strange otaku game stories, focusing on how to become a popular otaku. The article is presented as an interview and delves into the fashion and habits of attractive otaku individuals in the game industry. It touches upon themes like dealing with less desirable aspects of otaku culture, like body odor, in a professional setting, and how to be stylish even as an otaku. The page doesn't explicitly mention specific Dreamcast games, but is themed around gaming culture and the otaku lifestyle prevalent in gaming communities at the time. The illustration at the top shows a girl playing a light gun game with a zombie emerging from the TV screen. This page features articles and columns centered around gaming. Nakahara Masaya's Eating column describes his beginnings writing for Weekly Dreamcast Magazine, mentioning his first Dreamcast game, House of the Dead 2. The primary focus is an article on House of the Dead 2, discussing its gameplay, the satisfying enemy types, and its impressive graphics and horror atmosphere. The author expresses a preference for heavier rock music in the game. He also mentions briefly playing and disliking the PC game Postal. Two additional columns focus on game store interactions. Outside Konda game Anzoroji. Episode 11 Inches advises polite and respectful communication with staff in Akihabara for honest game recommendations. Game Shop, Backside of the Backside, provides examples of polite questions to help customers discover popular games, emphasizing manners and preparation. This page from the section of the magazine dated May 14, 1999, is a humorous comic strip discussing Dreamcast hardware and software. The comic starts with the characters discussing hypothesis number 1, which is that Dreamcast hardware design is aimed at mania-oriented gamers. They mention switching from older hardware and the idea that hardware quickly becomes outdated. Hypothesis number 2 discusses that Dreamcast hardware becomes old quickly, so they are discussing used hardware and suggesting to buy used Dreamcast hardware cheaply. Hypothesis number 3 talks about software being uninteresting and boring, but quickly refutes this point. Hypothesis number 4 returns to the mania-oriented theme, suggesting that this is the reason for the hardware design. Hypothesis number 5 is about why Sega hardware is always released. Finally, the conclusion section lists several humorous points about Dreamcast. 1. Dreamcast 6 buttons are strange. Quote. 2. The controller is strange. Quote. 3. Peculiar peripherals are released. Quote. 4. It makes people uneasy. Quote. 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 5. It is said that it's trying to make you say, I want to play Dreamcast. 6. Ultimately, it's stated that people who like Sega hardware like these aspects. The final comment in the strip says, why do you always buy Sega hardware? suggesting a playful, self-deprecating humor about Sega fans. The strip seems to be a lighthearted commentary on the Dreamcast and its perceived quirks, aimed at dedicated Sega fans. This page is a complete guide and pre-release special feature for Elemental Gimmick Gear, which is described as the first action RPG for the Dreamcast. The page highlights that Golden Week is over, but the Dreamcast users' enjoyment is just beginning with EGG. It mentions that in about 2 weeks, more exciting new information about the game will be revealed. The game from Hudson is priced at 5,800 yen and is set to be released on May 27th. It's classified as an action RPG. This page is all about powering up your EGG in Elemental Gimmick Gear. It highlights how collecting items scattered throughout Tokyon and other areas is crucial for strengthening Leon's EGG. The page introduces 5 new items: Access Chip Level 1, which unlocks doors; Flamestone, giving firepower; Wire Arm for extending reach; Freeze Stone, freezing enemies with cold lasers; Skill ROM Level 1 for lifting objects; Access Chip Level 2 for computer lock releases; and Flame Spinner, enabling spin-dash attacks with fire. 2 specific items are detailed further. The Transporter, found in the Tower of Mist, allows for instant escape from dangerous areas using element energy. The Waterproof item, located at the Archaeological Research Institute, is essential for navigating strong currents found in areas like the underground city of Fangya, enhancing underwater mobility for the EGG. This page is a preview of the Dreamcast game Elemental Gimmick Gear, also known as EGG. It introduces new items that enhance gameplay and expand the player's range of actions. The page details the Vacuumer, an arm-mounted item that absorbs energy from spring locations to refill subtanks. It also presents Double Stock and Element Stock as items to increase energy reserves and fully replenish elements respectively. Other item, Super Grip, enables players to pull blocks, opening new paths and allowing access to items. The Catch Skill Level 2 is highlighted, allowing players to catch blocks thrown at them, which can be used to solve puzzles and reach new areas. The screenshots demonstrate the use of these items and skills within the game environments, showing item locations and gameplay scenarios where these new abilities are crucial. The text emphasizes how these new additions will broaden the player's exploration and combat possibilities in Elemental Gimmick Gear. This page previews the game Elemental Gimmick Gear, also known as EGG, highlighting the addition of new courses to the Ruckle Leisureland mode. The article explains that due to popular demand and donations from players, new courses are being added. It mentions that these courses are more technical and challenging, contrasting them with the initial easier courses. The article highlights EGG Trial Course 2, this kind of courses, detailing 4 rooms that make up this new course. Room 1 focuses on block throwing and catching, Room 2 on efficient point gathering, Room 3 on spin jumping, and Room 4 as the final goal. Screenshots showcase various rooms within these new courses, showing gameplay elements like moving platforms, blocks, and the player character navigating the environments. It mentions the importance of skill and timing in these new challenges. The article also gives tips on how to score highly, especially in Room 1, by quickly and accurately throwing blocks. It suggests that mastering spin jumps and cornering techniques are crucial for success in these new trials. This page is about Elemental Gimmick Gear, an action RPG game. It introduces an NPC character named Cray, who is an old man living in Yeast Keon and loves to talk. He is described as knowledgeable and enjoys sharing his knowledge, though his stories can be lengthy and fast-paced. The page highlights a Cray quiz feature in the game, where players can challenge Cray to quizzes after listening to his stories. The quiz rule is simple. Answer correctly to all 4 questions asked after the conversation, and you will receive a reward from Cray. An example of Cray's story is provided. He talks about a grandson named Josh, who is 5 years old and good-natured, and whose older sister is named Rena, also 5. The quiz question example is, what is the name of Washi's grandson? The answer choices are Slay, Frey, and Cray, with Cray being the correct answer. The page also details the Scorching Lava course, describing it as a tropical-themed course with flowing lava. It is noted as a challenging course with narrow paths and jump points. The course emphasizes the need for player skill and EGG operation techniques to achieve high scores. It mentions that falling into the lava results in an instant game over. The EGG Race Course 2 is introduced as a challenging course requiring advanced techniques to clear quickly. The page suggests that players should aim for shortcuts, but be mindful of the constant danger. This page is a game preview for Elemental Gimmick Gear on the Dreamcast, detailing the game's growth system. The article highlights the game's unique leveling mechanic, where players collect capsules to upgrade 3 core stats: attack level, defense level, and mind level. Collecting 3 capsules of a specific type raises the corresponding stat level. The attack level directly impacts the player's offensive capabilities, increasing both standard attacks and wire arm damage. Defense level enhances damage mitigation when taking hits from enemies. Mind level governs the capacity to hold elemental energy, crucial for dungeon exploration and boss battles, where using elements effectively is key. The status screen, depicted on the page, showcases these 3 stats as circular gauges that fill up as capsules are collected, indicating level progression. The article explains that initially all stats are at level 4. The preview also introduces the game's storyline, involving a character named Leon, who awakens after 5,000 years in ancient ruins called Fanya. He embarks on a journey to uncover mysteries in Tokyon, encountering enemies and strange phenomena related to a changing ecosystem caused by Fanya's expansion. Leon is portrayed as navigating through dungeons inhabited by hostile EGG units. This page is a preview for Elemental Gimmick Gear. It highlights the Level Up system, which increases attack power and modifies defense, reducing incoming damage at higher levels. The page also discusses ability capsules scattered around the game world, some easily obtainable, others requiring specific conditions to acquire, hinting at exploration and item collection. It mentions the game over system allows continues, restarting from the last map transition point, with replenished energy and element levels retained from when you died, beneficial for boss battles. The article also briefly describes different locations within the game, such as areas where bandit gangs appear, the Tower of Mist, Metal Heaven, and the EGG Factory, suggesting a varied game world to explore. This page is a preview of the 3D polygon battles in Elemental Gimmick Gear, a game where battles are fought in 3D, but the basic controls are the same as 2D games. The article focuses on boss battles, which are considered more difficult due to the depth element. It analyzes 3 boss characters. The first battle is against Justice Horn. This section highlights the importance of mastering the basic 3D battle mechanics, like timing guards and understanding attack patterns. The text emphasizes focusing on reading the opponent's moves to succeed. The second battle features Joiner, a boss encountered in the Fanya area. It is described as a large, insect-like boss. The article suggests that players should not approach it carelessly because it can grab and throw you into walls. Spin attacks are not recommended for this battle due to the boss's size. The third battle introduces Maxima, fought in a ring-like stage with no ropes, meaning players can fall out, resulting in a game over. Maxima is described as having powerful attacks, and players need to focus on guarding and countering to defeat it. It is mentioned that flameball attacks might be effective. This page is a column titled Bi-weekly column Various Things, which poses the question of whether people can watch 20 programs a week for 10.5 hours. It's themed around anime and games. The comic strip illustrates a conversation about anime viewing habits, mentioning recording anime on video. One character receives a call from their mother about Sailor Moon t-shirts, noting their popularity even in Germany. They also discuss buying toys and dolls like Super Doll Licka-chan. The bottom panels depict various relationship stages or in-game actions like friendship, fights, worsening relationships, navigating north-northwest, stopping actions, and making up. This page is an Anime Check-It section introducing Pet Shop of Horrors, an anime set in LA Chinatown about humans and their mysterious pets. The anime is currently on sale as of May 8th. The page details production information, including the director, scriptwriter, character designer, and art director. The voice cast is listed, featuring as Count D, as Leon Orcado, and as Alice. The summary describes the anime as a beautifully horrific story from Madhouse, based on the manga by. It highlights the mysterious pet shop run by Count D, where you can find any animal or pet, and the story explores what kind of pets customers desire. The synopsis mentions a story arc concerning a couple, the Haywards, and a rabbit. Music CD information is also presented, advertising a single CD by LEGOLGEL, which includes the theme song, Toki no Sora Ryoku, and an original soundtrack, CD, for the anime. Lastly, a topics section promotes Crest of the Stars and Melty Lancer the animation DVDs, released on May 25th, and mentions a poster giveaway for both anime series. The Poster Presents section outlines how to apply for the poster giveaway by sending a postcard with address, name, phone number, and desired poster by May 31st to Dreamcast Magazine's Anime. Check it! Poster Presents section at the listed address. This page is showcasing anime information for SKY Perfect TV and Direct TV. For SKY Perfect TV, it highlights Getter Robo, an older anime series originally broadcast from 1974 to 1975. The description talks about Getter Robo being a pioneer of combining robot anime, featuring a battle against the Dinosaur Empire and the team of Ryoma, Hayato, and Musashi. Direct TV is featuring Gokudokun Manyuki, which is based on a popular light novel series and an anime adaptation already airing on TV Tokyo. The anime is described as a comedy set in a world where the demon and human realms intersect, following Gokudo, who leaves home to seek wealth, fame, and beautiful women. Alongside these highlights, the page lists various anime video releases. These include Sorcerer Orphan Volume 5, Devilman Lady Volume 4, Vampire Princess Miyu Integral 9, Kindaiichi Case Files Volume 18, Devil Village Murder Case, which is available for rental, and Voice Lugger Volume 2. Also listed are Star Warrior Outlaw Star Volume 13, advertised as the final volume, Magical Idol Pastel Yumi Volumes 1 and 2, New Yacht Peace of Mind, of Space Travel LDBOX, Travel Pack 2, the movie CG Beast Wars Fierce Clash, Beast Warrior, which is available for rental, and finally the adult anime, Indecent, Beast Targeted Flower Bride Volume After. All these video releases are scheduled around May, with some already available for rental. This page is an advertisement for the official Perfect Guidebook for the Dreamcast game, Blue Stinger. It highlights that it is A5 size, contains 112 pages, and is priced at 1,100 yen plus tax. The advert promotes the guide as having a highly praised walkthrough, and features the game's logo with character artwork. Published by SoftBank Publishing in 1999 under Sega's copyright. This article is a personal column by Omi, starting with her appreciation for the relaxing month of May, including a foot massage and a brief mention of her dog Pudding's earache. It features the fourth installment of Omi's Unknown World to You and an illustration. A large part of the article is dedicated to the character Q from the game Himiko-den, where Omi voices Q. She discusses Q's role as Spirit of the Demonic Mirror and Tanu in the game and anime, respectively, including recording experiences and how she embodies the character's essence. The article contains a screenshot and a profile of Omi, listing her past roles in Mobile Battleship Nadesico and God Please, Evolution, as well as her current work. Finally, it invites readers to send letters to Omi and provides game information for Himiko-den, including platform and release date. This page is an article titled Kurokawa Fumio's Black Or column. Friend K's Recollections 2. The article is a discussion with Friend K, who used to work at Sega, about various issues in the game industry. Friend K reflects on the past and present state of the games industry, mentioning user-unfriendly practices. He discusses how game developers used to create games for themselves, and how that passion has shifted. He recalls his experience in Akihabara game stores and being frustrated with software pricing and bundled sales. The article mentions the game J-League Pro Soccer Club Create Dream and the Nintendo 64DD. Friend K expresses concerns about the game industry focusing too much on sequels and not enough on innovation, questioning if this approach will prevent new hit games from emerging. He also touches upon the idea that game creators become focused on individual gain rather than broader industry health and user satisfaction. Friend K ponders whether gamers over 30 are losing interest in games due to a lack of innovation and excessive focus on high-quality CG rather than the fun of gameplay. He uses the example of Dragon Quest II and Dragon Quest IV on Famicom, expressing nostalgia for games that were endlessly enjoyable despite simpler graphics. He questions if gamers are turning to watching movies instead of playing games. The article concludes by soliciting feedback from readers. This page is about the recording of music for a Tokyo Disneyland parade. The article features an interview with composer Noriyuki Iwadare, who is working on the parade's music, and we learn about his profile. The theme for the music is described as wacky, and the recording process involves sampling Donald Duck's voice. There's also a snapshot from this week's Treasured Snap section showing a bullet train and kids, and information about Iwadere's website. This page is a Dreamcast Magazine reader survey. It provides instructions on how to fill out the questionnaire and gives examples of good and bad answer formats. The survey covers reader demographics, such as gender, age, school or occupation, and magazine readership. It delves into Dreamcast ownership, asking about the number of Dreamcast software titles owned and impressions of the GDROM format. The survey also seeks opinions on article content and future purchasing plans for both hardware and software. Lists are provided for hardware choices, Dreamcast software titles, and Sega Saturn software titles to aid survey responses. This page is an advertisement for the official complete strategy guide for the Dreamcast game EGG Elemental Gimmick Gear. It highlights the guide's features, including maps for complete, Koryaku walkthrough/strategy, boss strategies, hidden items, minigames, and developer interviews. The guide is set to be released in late May and is priced at 1,800 yen plus tax, with 192 pages in B5 size format. The advertisement also features screenshots from the game showcasing gameplay and characters. The tagline emphasizes that the guide will help players unravel all the hidden mysteries of the game. This page is an advertisement for KOEI Games, showcasing 2 historical simulation titles. On the left is Romance of the Three Kingdoms the Sixth, highlighting its grand scale and strategic gameplay, focused on controlling both land and people. To the right is Nobunaga's Ambition, Lord of Darkness with power-up kit, emphasized as a historical simulation game with compelling human drama within the Warring States period. Both games are priced at 9,800 yen. The advertisement text speaks of overcoming sorrow and rage, and the beginning of a girl's awakening and melodies of destruction, setting a dramatic tone for the games. The artwork features characters and in-game scenes, giving a visual taste of the strategic and historical gameplay offered by KOEI. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Seven Mansions, Trembling Smile, a mystery adventure game from Koei. The advert highlights the game's story centered around a beautiful, mysterious girl, set on an isolated island, with thrilling and terrifying melodies. It is described as a century-end suspense story, where you must decide if you can survive and rescue humanity from annihilation. The game was scheduled for release in the summer, and priced at 6,800 yen. The page also contains a small advertisement for Mahjong Taikai 2 Special. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game Idol Janshi wo Tsukuchou. Let's make an idol Jangirl. The article announces that Misaki Kyoko, who has been the main character so far, is stepping down from her role. The game features a new makeup mode, where players can create their own unique idol character by combining parts and personality settings. The player-created character will become the new main character in this installment. The page highlights that the game is a mahjong game and shows screenshots of gameplay and character selection screens. It also introduces several characters that appear in the game, including Sakurai Miyuri, Amano Mai, and Mizuno Yuki, describing them briefly with details about their personalities and backgrounds, such as Miyuri being a sweet girl who is hospitalized, Mai being a bunny girl with a hidden personality, and Yuki being a cheerful girl with a strong sense of justice. The game is being developed by Jaleco and is a mahjong game, with release date and price yet to be determined. This page is all about the girls featured in the Super Real Mahjong series, specifically introducing new characters. It highlights Super Real Mahjong P7 and introduces 4 new female characters: Chizuru Hayabusa, Nami Hayabusa, Lemon Pie, and Ruriko Shinonome, detailing their ages, occupations, personalities, and special abilities within the mahjong game. The abilities seem to be cheat-like techniques, adding a unique flavor to the gameplay, like Super Stick and Hyper Eye. It also mentions the special exchange from Super Real Mahjong P2 and another technique called Fire Sekan, which is described as destroying opponents' winning tiles, and warns against using such techniques in real mahjong games. There is also a note that Lemon Pie will not be appearing in this title despite her name being visible, which is addressed with a humorous apology from the development team. This page introduces Troya, Mystery Adventure 7786 BC, a Dreamcast title based on the popular Japanese TV show Seikai Fushigi Hakken, World's Mysteries Discovered. This adventure game is set in ancient Troy and revolves around the show's theme of global mystery exploration. Players will investigate mysteries related to Greek mythology and the Trojan horse. A notable feature is that regulars from the TV show, including Tetsuko Kuroyanagi, Hidetoshi Itagaki, and Shinji Nomura, lend their voices to characters within the game. The screenshots showcase in-game environments and characters, alongside imagery from the TV program itself. The game was slated for a July release, was single-player only, and supported VGA boxes. It appears this title was exclusive to Japan. This page previews the Dreamcast game focusing on the city of Troy. The game is called Time Diver, Eon Man. The player undertakes a time dive to ancient Troy in 1186 BC as part of a program research team for 7 days. The player explores the city, which is divided into districts like Ilios, the Royal District, and residential areas, guided by an in-game guide character. The player encounters a mysterious man named Aegean Wind and gets caught up in the mysteries and events unfolding in Troy as preparations for war are underway. The game features puzzles and riddles, with the player investigating the secrets of Troy. The text mentions the setting being Troy, a wealthy city producing wine and olive oil, and involved in a decade-long conflict with the Achaean kingdom, which is later known as Greece. The page highlights the intrigue and mystery aspect of the game within the historical Trojan setting. This page is a preview of the Dreamcast game Shinkaku Hanafuda, a Japanese card game compilation. The article highlights that this is Altron's first Dreamcast title and emphasizes the traditional Japanese card game Hanafuda, which includes popular variations like Koi Koi, Hana Awase, and Hachi Hachi. The game offers both 2D and 3D graphics options for players to choose from. The preview describes 4 types of games in Shinkaku Hanafuda and 2 game modes. It details Koi Koi as a beginner-friendly mode where players compete one-on-one against the computer, focusing on creating hands from field and hand cards. Hana Awase is described as a more popular and strategic game played by 3 players, where victory is achieved by accumulating high scores based on card combinations. Oicho Kabu is mentioned as similar to blackjack, using 23 Hanafuda cards, and Hachi Hachi is also listed. The game modes are Tournament Mode and Free Battle Mode, allowing players to choose characters and compete based on monthly rules, earning points for victories. The page also showcases 10 selectable characters for the game and provides screenshots of the gameplay in both 2D and 3D perspectives. It mentions the release date as July 22nd and the price as 4,800 yen. It also notes features like vibration support and single-player mode. The text encourages players to experience the depth of Hanafuda even if they are unfamiliar with the rules, as the game provides rule explanations. This page is from a Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide, focusing on strategies. It features illustrations of 2 characters and lists 3 games with their page numbers for further information. The games highlighted are Blue Stinger on page 102, Kita E, White Illumination on page 106, and Nobunaga's Ambition, Shasei Roku with Power-Up Kit on page 110. The guide is designed to help players master these games using complete walkthroughs. This page is a strategy guide for the Dreamcast game Blue Stinger, focusing on the Gigatent area. The guide starts by explaining that the objective is to reach the mysterious blue light, requiring players to use Dr. Kimura's ID card to enter the Gigatent area. It warns about the threat of infinitely multiplying dinocytes within, advising players on combat strategies against enemy types like human dinocytes and caterpillar dinocytes. The guide suggests using shotguns and avoiding close-quarters combat when dealing with groups of enemies. The Gigatent area is described as a long, straightforward path, but surprisingly time-consuming. It highlights human dinocytes as strong enemies and advises players to bring plenty of recovery items due to the absence of vending machines. There is also a mention of laser beams to be cautious of in a sloped section. Finally, a map snippet shows the direction to the lab area. Screenshots on the page show gameplay in the Gigatent area, featuring the character Elliot navigating corridors, facing enemies, and encountering laser hazards. This page is a strategy guide section focusing on the Gigantapartment area section of Dino Crisis. It details the surveillance system objective, instructing the player to investigate the surveillance monitor in the freezing plant control system in the Gigant Room to find a blue glowing stone. The guide also explains a pipe passage section, advising players to use light key inputs when crossing pipes to avoid falling. A map diagram highlights various dino sites, including caterpillar, human, vector, hangar, and killer bee dino sites. A vending machine's contents are listed. Hashi long for $60, hot dog for $120, and hamburger for $160. The guide mentions characters Johnny and Elliot and their progress through the brain area and apartment area. The objective seems to be to return to Johnny's apartment to retrieve a rifle to stop the revival of Jaskiny, likely a mistranslation of Trex or another dinosaur, revealed in a shocking truth, and prevent the Nephilim from emerging. This page is a strategy guide for the apartment area in Dino Crisis on Dreamcast. It provides maps for the Hilton building's roof floor, second floor, first floor, and basement 1 floor, detailing item locations and enemy positions marked by numbers on the maps. Gameplay tips are provided in numbered sections. Sections 1 and 2 advise players to head straight to the second floor and save data in room 1, warning about the powerful human dino site enemies. Sections 3 and 4 explain that another entrance is through the movie theater at location 4, but is initially closed, requiring a $300 ticket from the vending machine at location 3 to enter and fight 2 hangar dino sites inside. Section 5 discusses the boss fight with a large dragon dino site in the cinema's audience seating, recommending using bazooka or napalm and running around to its rear for attacks, and mentions obtaining a very hard stage switch key upon defeating it. This walkthrough covers a segment of Dino Crisis gameplay, starting after defeating a dragon. Players use the emergency stairs switch key to access the backstage area, then the audience seating basement, collecting an item. Next, players explore the second floor, encountering an unusable ID card, and moving to the party room. There, they obtain the Nick ID card, fight flying dinosaurs in the basement, and explore private rooms using the John ID card to find recovery items and the living room key. Using the Nick ID card, they access Janine's room, finding a memo and the water gun. The walkthrough then guides players to the living room using the living room key, refilling the water gun in the bathroom to extinguish a fireplace and clear the smoke, allowing access to the rooftop and Janine's room. The final sections involve eliminating dinosaurs on the rooftop, obtaining Janine's rifle, and returning to the first floor, ending with a reveal that dogs and a woman holding a baby are a family. This page is dedicated to the Dreamcast game Kita E White Illumination, a Japanly travel communication title developed by Hudson, released on March 18th for 5,800 yen. The page serves as a strategy guide, advising players on how to fully enjoy the game, particularly focusing on raising the likability or affection of the character Tanya Lipinski. It highlights that to completely conquer Kita E, players need to be mindful during gameplay to raise affection levels. The guide suggests that choosing correct dialogue options is crucial, especially in summer and winter events. It mentions that while summer dates are limited, winter offers more opportunities to spend time with Tanya. Screenshots show scenes from the game, including conversations with Tanya and an event at a swimming pool where Tanya might change into a swimsuit. The strategy advises that if affection is low, players should visit Sapporo first before Hakodate to improve their chances of a positive outcome. The page also describes an intermission event where players can deepen their bond with Tanya through actions like hugging and getting closer, emphasizing her delicate feelings. This page appears to be a dating guide for a game set in Sapporo and Hakodate, Japan. It details recommended date locations in Sapporo, including Mama Sabroso, Beetlebaum, Assam's store, the Suguru building, and the Hokkaido government building. In Hakodate, it suggests Motomachi, the Bay Area, and Yunokawa Onsen as good date spots. The guide specifically mentions the Suguru building as a place to improve your affection with the character Tanya through playing UFO catchers and karaoke. It notes that winning a plush toy for Tanya from the UFO catcher will boost her affection. Karaoke is also suggested, with the guide mentioning that singing karaoke well will also increase Tanya's affection. The page also discusses dialogue options with Tanya at the Hokkaido government building, emphasizing understanding Tanya's feelings as a foreigner. In the Bay Area, which features glass artwork, the guide suggests praising the art to impress Tanya. Finally, a visit to Yunokawa Onsen Hot Springs is recommended, and it's mentioned that even if you bathe together, it won't negatively impact your relationship with Tanya. Screenshots show Tanya in various locations like an arcade, a glass art exhibition, and a hot spring. This page is focused on the Dreamcast dating simulation adventure game featuring the character Sayaka Sayanogi. It seems to be a guide for dating Sayaka, particularly in Sapporo, highlighting both summer and winter date scenarios. It mentions pool events being enjoyable in the summer edition and winter events in the winter edition. The page details Sapporo date locations and recommends courses such as the Sapporo Beer Garden, Sapporo TV Tower, Tea Shop Assam, and the Sapporo Clock Tower. There's a section about Tea Shop Assam, explaining it might bring back bad memories for Sayaka. The screenshots show various dating scenes, including a pool date, a winter date in the snow, and a scene in the Assam tea shop. It suggests that choosing the Tea Shop Assam might not be the best choice for a date with Sayaka, due to her past negative experiences there. This page highlights date course suggestions in the Hakodate area, suggesting various spots for dates with the character Kano Kaori. The page features 3 date locations: Asahi City, Goryokaku, and Motomachi. Asahi City is suggested for summer food market exploration, and during a ramen discussion, the best response is to suggest holding hands, leading to a positive reaction from Kaori. Goryokaku is recommended for a live octopus sashimi experience, which is described as unique. Motomaki suggests visiting a Maruhan chic tea shop, where reading notes and suggesting, "Let's also have a fairy tale love," will elicit a charming reaction from Kaori. The page also features fan submissions for To the North, including fan letters and illustrations, and also announces the end of a love message illustration contest. The winning entries are showcased, with prizes announced, and a call for more fan letters for characters like Ayako Chiba and Yuka Hirohashi. Submission addresses are listed for fan mail. The next page provides a strategy guide for Nobunaga's Ambition, Lord of Darkness with Power-Up Kit. It addresses a player question about unit movement between castles not being smooth. The guide explains that terrain affects unit movement costs, especially in hilly areas common in the Chugoku region. It advises players to build branch castles and fields to improve movement efficiency and reduce movement power consumption. There are 2 tables, one showing unit movement power for different unit types like military units, agents, and ninjas, and the other detailing the movement cost for various terrains from plains and wetlands to mountains which are impassable. The guide uses an example calculation to illustrate how terrain and constructed buildings impact movement costs, and recommends building towns and villages along roads to further optimize unit movement. This strategy guide offers advice for a Sengoku period game, likely in the Nobunaga's Ambition series. Dealing with Iko-Iki uprisings from Honganji involves improving relations or conquering them. Allowing Christianity or low friendship levels trigger revolts. Cannons are highly recommended, even at a high cost, due to their siege power and battle impact. The Dice 5 formation, centralizing cannons, is advised to maximize their effectiveness. For weak factions, securing capable warlords is paramount. Recruiting skilled warlords like Momochi Sandayu is critical for survival, particularly for factions in regions like Tohoku or Shikoku. This page introduces Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 in VM, a game for the visual memory system. It's described as a comical TV program-style game and a pro wrestling game all in one. You can enjoy 2 types of games tailored for the VM. This game connects with both Dreamcast and Naomi arcade systems. It boasts 25 program types that you can watch, simulating a TV broadcast on your VM screen, with programs changing based on the time of day in the game. There's also a 24-hour full-time pro wrestling game mode. You can even encounter obstructive characters in the TV program mode to boost viewership ratings. The page also highlights features like selecting wrestlers, deciding move order, and level up system. This page highlights the integration between the Dreamcast Visual Memory, VM, and the game Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 in Nippon Budokan. The Giant Channel is a visual memory application launching on May 20th that enhances the experience of Giant Graham. By using Giant Channel on the VM, you can train wrestlers in a training mode, increasing their stats and unlocking new costumes in the Dreamcast version of Giant Graham. Raising the viewership ratings within Giant Channel also boosts your wrestlers' progress. Winning matches and leveling up in the Dreamcast version will be reflected in the Giant Channel data. Furthermore, by using the visual memory, you can transfer wrestler data created and leveled up in Giant Channel to the NAOMI arcade version of Giant Graham. Leveling up wrestlers significantly in Giant Channel can even transform them into metal versions when used in the arcade game, potentially giving them a metallic appearance and enhanced stats. The screenshots illustrate gameplay on both the Dreamcast and arcade versions, focusing on wrestler stats and ranking systems. This page is a Soul Calibur special issue, featuring the hero's sword. Soul Protection Sword is a lovely girl. It includes story parts and character files. The page delves into the backstory of the Soul Protection Sword, which is connected to the Soul Edge. The story file explains that the Soul Protection Sword was sought after at the same time as Soul Edge during the Ming Dynasty. It highlights the lineage of Xianghua and the story of the Soul Protection Sword. The side story section elaborates on the Soul Edge search party dispatched by the Ming Dynasty and how they encountered various challenges. It introduces characters like Li Ron and the beautiful girl Xianghua Chai, who possesses the Soul Protection Sword. The character relationship diagram outlines the connections between characters like Kilik, Xianglian Chai, Xianghua Chai, Li Long, and the Ming Emperor, highlighting their familial ties, rivalries, and master-student relationships within the Soul Calibur universe, particularly focusing on the lineage and inheritance of martial arts and the Soul Protection Sword. This page is focused on a preview for Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast, highlighting it as a 3D weapon-based fighting action game from Namco. The article mentions it is planned for a summer release. The price is still to be determined, and it will support the Rumble Pack. The page delves into the story elements and mechanics of Soul Calibur, particularly focusing on the concept of true three treasures, relationships, and abilities. This section seems to explain game mechanics related to power and balance. It describes three concepts: Metsubu Kan Destruction Rod, Mapu Q End Law Mirror, and Gohao Ken Guardian Law Sword, explaining their roles in absorbing and releasing power and maintaining balance. The bottom right corner provides a description of Soul Edge, stating that it was originally a pair of swords, but one was destroyed, leaving a single large sword in the current time. The next page focuses on Xianghua from Soul Calibur. It is titled Soul Calibur Special Issue Character Story. The page details Xianghua's backstory, mentioning that she was raised by her parents and started training in martial arts from a young age. By the age of 10, she was already skilled with the sword. When her mother died, Xianghua inherited an old sword and sought to improve her swordsmanship further. Later, she is visited by Li Mei, a palacewoman of the Ming Dynasty, who asks Xianghua to investigate the whereabouts of her missing brother, Li Ron. Xianghua agrees and sets off on a journey, eventually encountering Kilik. The page also details Xianghua's weapon, which is a Chinese Jian sword, called Gohuken Guardian Law Sword. The text explains that while the material is unknown, the sword is classified as a Chinese Jianxian. It also discusses the unique fighting style that Xianghua uses, which is described as flowing like water, differentiating it from traditional Japanese swordsmanship. The sword is described as having special abilities and can transform into a different form, referred to as Soul Calibur. The page includes screenshots showcasing Xianghua and her weapon in Soul Calibur. This page is about the character Xianghua from the fighting game Soul Calibur. It details three key features of her gameplay style. Firstly, her speed is highlighted as a major strength. While her individual attacks might not be the most powerful, the speed of her moves, like the Seireka, Clean and Clear Song, allows for quick combos and pressure on opponents, especially in close combat. She can change her moves depending on the input, adding to her unpredictable nature. Secondly, her small size is presented as an advantage. Xianghua can effectively evade and dodge attacks, particularly high and thrusting attacks, due to her low stance during certain moves like Yohonzan. This makes her adept at defensive maneuvers and counterattacking. Thirdly, her diverse special moves are emphasized. While basic attacks can become predictable, Xianghua's special moves offer variety. One example mentioned is the Yuhoshitsu, Wandering Step, a low stance movement that helps close the distance while avoiding high attacks, making her strong in close-range battles. From this stance, she can perform powerful attacks like Yuho Komatsuken and Yuho Kokomaiken, Wandering Step Red Light Sword, and Wandering Step Black Light Sword, adding pressure on the opponent. The page suggests players should choose their moves strategically, based on their playstyle and the situation. Several screenshots accompany the text, showcasing Xianghua in combat against various opponents in what appears to be Soul Calibur. The images highlight different attack animations and fighting stances. This page is showcasing Namco vs titles, highlighting two upcoming arcade games. First up is Tekken Tag Tournament, planned for release in summer 1999, running on System 12 hardware. It's described as a 3D fighting game based on Tekken 3, but with tag team battles featuring returning characters from the Tekken series, promising exciting team combinations and tag mechanics. Next is Super World Stadium 1999, scheduled for a May 1999 release, also on System 12. This baseball game boasts 18 teams, including 12 from both leagues, plus Namco Stars, Namco Gals, and a USA team, featuring updated 1999 player data. It includes a new COM battle mode and tournament options, emphasizing accessible controls and new ball types like knuckleballs and screwballs. The page also features a VS development department, Soul Calibur development diary section. In this section, developers discuss character design, particularly focusing on Xianghua. They mention the simple concept of a cute girl representing Asian culture and their efforts to emphasize her Chinese martial arts style. They talk about the process of capturing motion data and incorporating it into the 3D models, highlighting the challenges and refinements in creating her in-game appearance, even mentioning the attention to detail with her hairstyle. The developers involved seem to be Omenda and Mitsunaga. This page showcases the anime series Combat Mecha Zabungle as part of the Sunrise Robot CG World Series. It features images of the robot Mecha Zabungle in different poses, along with a character profile for Jiran Amos, describing him as a young man pursuing revenge for his parents and getting caught up in the conflict between the civilians and the innocent. The page provides details about the Zabungle mecha itself, referring to it as a walker machine, WM, used in the TV anime Combat Mecha Zabungle. It mentions that the Zabungle uses Sorium as fuel and is operated by a lung, suggesting a control mechanism. The data section lists the Zabungle's name, height, 17.8 meters, weight, 113 t, weapons, special rifle, etc., pilot, Jiran Amos, etc., and notes that the Zabungle is composed of the Zabungle car and Zabungle skippers, which combine to form the Zabungle. This page previews Cyber Troopers Virtual on Oratorio Tangram. It's framed as a lesson from a professor to a player named Ron, teaching advanced movement techniques like rotation in the game. The page highlights different types of rotation, emphasizing mastering these skills for strategic advantage. Screenshots showcase gameplay scenarios, and in-game instructions are provided to help players understand and execute these maneuvers. The article is promoting the Dreamcast version of Virtual on Oratorio Tangram and encourages players to master its advanced techniques. This page is a guide for Cyber Troopers Virtual on Oratorio Tangram, focusing on mastering attack inputs and techniques in preparation for the Dreamcast version. The guide is presented as a lesson between a professor and a student named Ron, covering 5 key checkpoints for attack mastery. The first checkpoint is about basic attack inputs using the left, right, and center triggers, explaining different attack types depending on the trigger used and stance: standing, crouching, jumping. The second checkpoint covers normal and movement attacks, emphasizing the importance of attacking while moving and not stopping during attacks. The third section details dash attack system sliding attack caution, explaining various dash attacks like sliding shots and aerial dash attacks, and warns about the input precision needed for sliding shots. The fourth checkpoint introduces the turbo shot system, describing how to execute powerful turbo shots by pressing trigger and turbo simultaneously, which can be performed from any stance. It highlights turbo shots as a crucial part of offense. Finally, the fifth checkpoint explains half cancel, a more advanced technique to conserve energy, particularly useful for the Raiden unit, by partially releasing triggers after firing. The page emphasizes that economical play and mastering these attack techniques are key to victory in Virtual on Oratorio Tangram. The page uses screenshots to illustrate the different attack types and gameplay situations discussed. This page is focused on the Virturoid APHARMDS from Cyber Troopers Virtual on Oratorio Tangram. It introduces this upgraded version as a super firepower enhanced model and compares it to the original APHARMD, stating the initial version was strong in firepower with weapons like napalm and grenade launchers, but lacked speed and maneuverability. The new APHARMDS version 5.4 is presented as a firefight specialist, slightly weaker in close combat compared to the original but still capable in all situations. Key improvements highlighted are increased bullet count for the dash right weapon, RW, reduced gauge consumption for the center weapon, CW, grenade launcher, and enhanced homing capabilities for the CW. The article also mentions a new tactic using the CW half-kick for laying grenades, which detonate after about 4 seconds, requiring timed attacks. The page also includes commentary from the developers at Virturoid Works Oritan, discussing the design philosophy of APHARMD as a muscular and powerful unit. They mention the striker name and the concept of sibling Virturoids. The developers express their appreciation for the camouflage design and hope players enjoy battling with the APHARMDs. This page from Dreamcast Magazine is showcasing the new version 5.4 update for Cybertroopers Virtual On Oratorio Tangram to prepare players for the Dreamcast release. It focuses on Unit Introduction number 6, specifically comparing the new version of Greifswald SAV 32609 to the original Belgdor. The article details the balance adjustments in version 5.4, noting that while the basic weapons are similar to Belgdor, the CW missile count is increased for more powerful attacks. It also mentions weapon changes like Vulcan Fire with left turbo RW, and various other weapon types. The feature highlights improvements in Greifswald version 5.4, including enhanced sliding RW attacks, increased missile count, improved missile speed, and guidance. It also mentions changes to LW attacks for close combat. Developer comments emphasize that Greifswald is designed to be easy to use for both beginners and advanced players, emphasizing its versatility in combat and recommending using missile barrages effectively. They describe it as a unit that can aggressively deplete armor and V-armor values, especially in close combat. This page is an advertisement for the House of the Dead 2 Perfect Guidebook on Dreamcast. This guide is advertised as the perfect companion to master the game, with 112 pages covering stage strategies to defeat zombies, branching paths, and boss tactics. It also details item locations in the original mode. The guide costs 1,300 yen plus tax and is exclusively for the Dreamcast version. It's published by SoftBank. This page reveals new information about the Dreamcast game Seaman. It confirms the release date is now set for July 22nd by Vivarium and is described as a cohabiting pet simulation game. The article mentions Dr. Jean-Paul Gassier, a fictional French archaeologist who discovered the ancient fish seaman in Egypt in 1932. The game is described as a communication game, where players interact with seamen daily for 1,015 minutes, helping it grow by talking to it, and the seamen will evolve and understand human language. The interface is simple, using a hand icon and voice input via a microphone. There's also news about seamen exhibiting at E3 in Los Angeles, after being popular at the Tokyo Game Show. The article mentions the English voice recognition engine was successful, leading to a rushed E3 debut. Seaman himself is quoted as saying he's practicing English with a slangy street-style accent. The article notes that the Sunshine Aquarium is exhibiting a growing seaman. An announcement from Vivarium also states the release date changed from June 24th to July 22nd due to improvements in execution speed and changes in promotional plans like TV commercials. Seaman humorously comments on the delay, saying he wanted to tell fans to hurry up, but thanks them for waiting, and jokes about becoming more famous than Sega. This page commemorates the 100th anniversary of the birth of Jean-Paul Gassier, a scholar of civilization and biology, and a friend of Dr. Jean-Paul Gassier. The page explores the connection between Gassier and the seaman, a unique creature featured in the Dreamcast game Seaman. The article details how Gassier devoted himself to researching seamen in France, being recognized as an unconventional genius and founder of civilization and biological archaeology. He was a mentor and friend to Masuda Kimio, and they conducted joint research on seamen in Egypt. The page also touches upon Sakura no Castletown in Mie Prefecture, Japan, as being related to Masuda Kimio, and possibly a location relevant to the research. The origin of the name Habibi Unde Kimo, the in-game name for seaman, is explained as being Egyptian for dear friend Kimio. Gassier himself named it, reflecting his friendship with Masuda Kimio. Finally, there is a section discussing the growth during the egg cleavage period of semen, highlighting the morphological observation of the semen's egg development process in a biological and embryological context. This section seems to delve into the scientific basis and inspiration behind the creature in the semen game. This page is part of a special feature titled Lode to the Mystery, Field Notes Volume 1, and focuses on the earnest scientist Kimo Masuda and his connection to the Megane no Masuda, Masuda Glasses store, which still exists today. The article investigates what can be seen at his birthplace. It details a visit to the Megane no Masuda store, highlighting its history and current prosperity as a large eyewear retailer in the area. The feature also touches upon the ongoing success of Megane no Masuda as a business, mentioning its impressive annual sales. Furthermore, the page showcases discovered semen anatomical findings, presenting detailed illustrations of the semen creature's external features, skeletal structure, and circulatory system, suggesting a scientific analysis within the context of the mystery. It seems to be an investigative piece linking the historical figure of Kimo Masuda and his family business to the Dreamcast game Semen. This page is dedicated to Puyo Puyon character design settings, focusing on which. It's revealed that these are design documents used during the development of Puyo Puyon and highlights how Witch's image changed significantly for this iteration. The page is divided into sections like a short break, which mentions the upcoming release of the Dreamcast version of Puyo Puyon on March 4th, and that this Puyo Para column is ending but will be back in a new format soon. It encourages readers to continue sending in strong fan mail and illustrations. The illustration corner is marked as the final one, thanking readers for their submissions. It expresses regret that not all illustrations could be shown, but appreciates everyone's enthusiasm. An address section is provided for sending fan mail to the Dreamcast Magazine editorial department at SoftBank Publishing in Tokyo. Finally, there's a humorous comic section titled The End, featuring characters reacting to the column's ending, with Arlie exclaiming in surprise. Another comic panel shows characters like Arlie and Skezo arguing about whose fault it is that they are always in trouble. Then, a final panel concludes, with Arlie, Skezo, and Draco all agreeing that they are hungry and should go home to eat. This page reveals the results of the Puyo Puyo N attack contest. There were 2 challenges: achieving a 108 chain combo and clearing the super spicy course quickly. For the 108 chain challenge, Nakayama Keisuke topped the ranks with 107 chains. Nagai Takumi was the fastest in the super spicy course, finishing in 3 minutes and 29 seconds. The top 3 players for both categories are showcased along with gameplay screenshots. Additionally, there's a section called Chico's Diary, a side story focusing on a priestess's first job, set within the Puyo Puyo universe, and illustrated with a character image. This page is a manga off-story for the Dreamcast game Evolution Eternal Dungeons. It introduces the main characters and the game's setting through a comic strip format. The story seems to revolve around Mag Launcher, a young treasure hunter who is aiming to become a great adventurer. He is accompanied by Linear Cannon, a mysterious girl. The comic strip shows humorous interactions and hints at the game's adventure elements. Character introductions on the side panels detail. Mag Launcher is described as a hot-blooded adventurer, 16 years old. Quote, Linear Cannon is a girl with unknown origins, who is always with Mag and possesses mysterious powers. Grenade is the butler of the Launcher family, serving them for many years and supporting Mag. Nina is the receptionist at the Ancient Research Institute in Panamtown, a kind and gentle person who supports Mag. The game itself is described as an adventure RPG for the Dreamcast, developed by Sega, ESP, and Sting. It was scheduled to be released on January 21, 1999, priced at 5,800 yen, and supports 1 player. This page is an advertisement for the Super Robot Wars Compact Perfect Guidebook. The book promises to fully cover the WonderSwan game, offering detailed strategies, system explanations, and map guides, ensuring players master everything in compact. It highlights features like personal data, system explanations, strategy guides for every stage, item acquisition tips, and command explanations. The book is advertised as being on sale, with details of the price and page count. This page is a fanbook preview for the game Sengoku Turb. The page features an interview discussing the game's concept, characters, and story. The interview talks about a character called Dappa-san, who is described as not necessarily evil, but someone difficult to understand, and perhaps involved in destructive activities. It mentions Jino-chan and the power they possess, connected to a family tutor character who plays a role in developing Jino-chan's abilities, but not directly teaching them. Dr. Hitsuji and Dr. Noren are also mentioned as being part of a larger narrative and appearing in Sengoku Turb. The game seems to involve a dangerous element, possibly related to the characters or story. The release date is scheduled for late May, and the fanbook will be 96 pages long, priced at 1,800 yen. The game is described as a B5 size simulation game. The interview also touches upon the game's worldview, describing it as unique and not like traditional animal-based games. This page is a weekly data station showing the top anticipated Sega Saturn games and top-selling games in Japan. The user data top 5 lists the most anticipated upcoming games, with Sonic 3D Flicky's Island at number 1, followed by With You I Want to Gaze at You, Wordsworth, Real Sound 2, Kodo no Orgel, and Street Fighter Alpha 3. The shop data top 3 shows the best-selling Saturn games, with Friends Shining of Youth topping the charts, followed by Derby Stallion and Ryoko's Chat Room. The Sega Saturn release schedule details upcoming game releases, including Pro Mahjong Kiwami Hey, due in June 1999, With You I Want to Gaze at You in July, and Monster Maker Holy Dagger in summer 1999. Street Fighter Alpha 3 is listed with 2 versions, a standalone software release and a bundle with 4 MB RAM, both planned for summer. Sonic 3D Flicky's Island and Real A Sound 2 Kodo no Orgel are also in the schedule, with unspecified release dates within 1999, along with J-League Excite, Stage 5-1, Wordsworth, and Requiem. This page showcases the Reader's Race ranking for Sega Saturn games, specifically from the May 14th issue, and covering a total of 1146 games. It's a popularity contest based on reader votes. The top-ranked games are listed in a table format, showing their rank, previous rank, game title, genre, and overall score. Looking at the top games. Shining Force 2I Scenario 3, The Harp of God Princess, is at number 1. Other highly ranked titles include Sakura Wars 2, Thou Shalt Not Die, Devil Summoner, Soul Hackers, and Pia Iu Koso 2. The ranking includes a wide range of genres, from RPGs to adventure games, and even strategy and shooting titles. It seems to be a comprehensive list reflecting the reader's favorite Sega Saturn games at this time. This page highlights recent game releases and a Sega Saturn game ranking chart. New arrivals include Friends, Youthful Radiance, Dreamcast, an adventure game with strong reviews for its story but a reliance on random encounters. Guardian Force, Saturn, offers a fresh shooting experience with its 360-degree turret, although graphics are dated. AI Shogi 2 inches Saturn features weaker than expected AI, especially in the endgame, making it suitable for casual players. Lifescape 2 Body Bionexus, Saturn, blends shooting with human body education, but the shooting aspect is weak, making it potentially suitable for educational use. The Odds Table Saturn B ranks Saturn games based on reader votes, showcasing popularity and reader feedback for various titles. This page is a Sega Saturn reader's ranking chart from Dreamcast Magazine. It lists a large number of Sega Saturn games, ordered by their ranking. The list includes game titles in Japanese, genres, and average vote scores. It appears to be a popularity contest or reader's poll for Sega Saturn games. Many well-known Saturn titles are listed, showcasing the wide variety of games available on the system. This document features rankings for Sega Saturn games and peripherals. The game rankings include numerous titles with scores, such as Tri-Rush Deppy, Deep Fear, and NBA Jam Extreme. The peripheral ranking lists accessories like the Virtua Stick Pro and Sega Saturn floppy disk drive. Reader comments express enthusiasm for the polls and rankings, encouraging participation using Dreamcast and Saturn postcards, with a prize giveaway. The document also forecasts future game releases, highlighting Elemental Gimmick Gear for Dreamcast and Redline Racer, and Web Mystery for Saturn, with forecast results to be published in the next issue. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game, With You Looking at You. It highlights the game as a deep youth drama, focusing on the bonds between 3 childhood friends, moving beyond a simple romance story. The game is described as a romance adventure from NEC Inner Channel, scheduled for release in July. The page introduces 3 main characters: the energetic Miyako Nobura, the tomboyish but kind Saeko Tanaka, and the protagonist's sickly younger sister, Noemi Ito. The developer mentions that voice recording and development are progressing smoothly, and this Sega Saturn version will include original events for those familiar with the PC release. The game is currently 70% complete. This page seems to be introducing the Sega Saturn game Manazashi ga Aru, which translates to Gaze There Is. It talks about the new teacher Michiru Amatsu, who is also an archaeologist and knows Manami's father. The page also highlights a mysterious green-haired girl who appears in the school. She's described as someone who keeps to herself and doesn't open up to others, making her actions quite enigmatic. Another character introduced is Yamna Fan, a transfer student who is knowledgeable about Japan and is in the same grade as Manami. She is shown eating a yakisoba bread in one of the images. The page mentions that player choices in Manazashi ga Aru will influence the direction of the story and the bonds between characters, suggesting a branching narrative where your decisions matter. It emphasizes that sometimes even kindness can hurt people within the game's scenarios, advising players to be mindful of their choices. The next page is a strategy guide for Derby Stallion on Sega Saturn, a horse racing and breeding simulation game. It's presented as a Q&A section tackling common player questions related to ranch management in Dabista, a nickname for Derby Stallion. The guide addresses 6 key questions. 1. Ranch expansion benefits. Expanding your ranch increases the number of horses you can manage, allowing for more breeding and access to lease foreign stallions. 2. Auction market tips. To buy horses cheaper at auction, pay attention to button timing when bidding. 3. Broodmare lifespan. Broodmares are likely to die around age 17, so consider selling them after age 15 to be safe, though very valuable mares might be kept longer. 4. Profit per horse. Aim for each horse to earn at least 30 million yen to avoid financial losses, covering various costs like feed and breeding fees. 5. Taking out loans. Loans are acceptable for ranch expansion if you can manage a large number of horses effectively to repay them. 6. Saving 10 billion yen. Reaching 10 billion yen in savings triggers an event where you can purchase 10-year stud rights for a stallion for 50 million yen, giving you free breeding rights for that period, although the stallion becomes unavailable to others. The next page is a strategy guide focused on selecting stallions in a horse racing simulation game, likely Derby Stallion. It's presented as a Q&A, covering essential aspects of horse breeding. Key points include emphasizing balanced parameters over focusing on one, prioritizing stallions with long-distance suitability or inbreeding for stamina enhancement, and selecting medium-distance stallions with speed bloodlines for strong horses. The guide also mentions coat color is not important for performance, but can indicate parentage. The earning index shows progeny activity, and avoiding a busy breeding schedule is difficult without purchasing breeding rights. It suggests domestic stallions are good for prize money in domestic races, but foreign stallions are better overall, and stallion choice should align with targeted G1 races, considering early or late maturity types. The page features screenshots of horse profiles and game interface elements displaying various horse stats. This resource explores advanced horse breeding techniques in a game, focusing on maximizing offspring potential. Mixed breeding uses specific bloodline combinations to enhance speed and stamina, with a provided Nix list of compatible pairings. Admirable breeding involves strategically repeating bloodlines, achievable by understanding a stallion's 4-generation parentage. Thoughtful breeding involves fixing the sire's sire, dam's sire, and dam's dam for a consistent lineage. The text also covers inbreeding, including nitro breeding, which impacts foal ability limits. Interesting breeding and thoughtful breeding offer different strategies, with the latter recommended for inbreeding and the former for outbreeding, particularly when aiming for parental resemblance. Inbreeding aims to enhance strengths like speed and stamina, while outbreeding excels in long-distance race stability and minimizes performance decline. The guide recommends outbreeding for long-distance Grade 1 races. This strategy guide provides breeding advice for a horse racing game. It answers questions about breeding for specific races and traits. Breeding for 4-year-old classic races is addressed twice, focusing on both ability/maturity and speed. Breeding for dirt races like the February Stakes involves inbreeding and dirt-suitable stallions. Broodmare breeding focuses on versatility using various techniques. Breeding for short-distance Grade 1 races requires stallions with short-distance aptitude, while long-distance races emphasize stamina and temperament. Success for 3-year-olds requires a balance of growth, speed, and stamina. To enhance a horse's winning spirit, high base ability stallions are recommended. Breeding for gray horses requires at least one gray parent. Finally, breeding for domestic prize races prioritizes consistency and legendary domestic stallions. This page is a strategy guide for a horse racing and breeding simulation game on the Sega Saturn. It provides answers to common questions about raising successful racehorses. The page covers topics like understanding foal selling prices based on growth type and weight, trusting stable comments on horse stats, and deciphering race chart symbols which indicate a horse's speed, stamina, spirit, and temperament. The guide emphasizes pre-debut joint training to improve a horse's fighting spirit and post-debut stamina training. It explains that good condition helps with weight gain and highlights the benefits of using hot springs to maintain stamina compared to regular pasture. The guide also gives tips on using different training facilities like hill courses, wood chip tracks for condition maintenance, and pools for weight adjustment before races. Finally, it advises that if you are training the horse yourself, the choice of training stable is not crucial, emphasizing personal preference instead. This page is a strategy guide for a horse racing simulation game on the Sega Saturn. It provides advice and tips in a question-and-answer format to help players improve their race performance and breeding strategies. The guide covers topics such as analyzing reasons for defeat, selecting race tactics based on horse temperament and speed, jockey choices, the importance of paddock analysis, the impact of slow starts and weight on race outcomes, and considerations for horse transportation and breeding for future generations, focusing on stamina in middle to long distance races. It highlights key factors like horse ability, race suitability, race development, and unforeseen accidents as potential reasons for losing races, and emphasizes the importance of checking horse condition, especially for GI races. It mentions renowned jockeys Tamura Masana and Matsuki, suggesting they are reliable choices in the game. The page provides a comprehensive overview of strategic elements to consider for success in the horse racing simulation. This page reports on the F-Cole Galaxy Fraulein Yuna's release campaign event held on April 29th at Akihabara Messe Sano in Tokyo. The event featured advanced sales of F-Cole trading figures, and for the first 200 people who bought a box, there was an autograph session with Akira Meikyo. The report highlights the long queues from the morning and the excitement of fans eager to purchase the figures and get them signed. It mentions the popularity of figure trading amongst fans present at the event and captures the joyful expressions of those opening boxes to see which figures they got. There's a section about a very enthusiastic fan who got a signature on their back. It also advertises a special prize draw for a signed poster by Akira Meikyo, even for those who couldn't attend the event, with a deadline of May 27th for applications sent to SoftBank Publishing. This page from Capcom Dash focuses on predictions for the upcoming NAOMI arcade version of the Dream crossover fighting game SNK vs. Capcom. It mentions that Dreamcast and Neo Geo Pocket versions have already been announced, and speculates that the NAOMI version will use a Capcom-based system. The article wonders about the character roster, hoping for appearances from SNK characters like Nakoru from Samurai Shodown, and Capcom characters like Morrigan from Darkstalkers. It also touches upon the game balance, considering the power levels of characters in fighting games. The top right corner briefly mentions the arcade release of Street Fighter II Third Strike, and asks what other titles people are anticipating. The lower part of the page is titled Shuki Akitomo's Monster Night Tales Night 9, Red Life, Vampire 9. This section seems to be an article discussing vampire mythology, specifically the meaning of blood and life, referencing the novel Dracula and the Old Testament. It talks about the symbolic meaning of blood within the context of vampires. This page is a preview for Street Fighter II Third Strike, a Capcom vs. fighting game set to be released in arcades soon and running on the CP System 2i hardware. The article focuses on the blocking mechanic within the game, discussing how the reliance on blocking has potentially changed from previous titles. It offers strategic advice on how to effectively use blocking in various combat scenarios, including against jump attacks and in close quarters combat. Screenshots are included to visually demonstrate gameplay examples of blocking techniques in action. The article emphasizes the importance of understanding the timing for blocking and using it strategically to counterattacks and create openings for counterattacks. This page highlights the fighting styles of the new characters in Capcom's latest fighting game, which is likely Street Fighter II Third Strike. It introduces 4 characters and their combat approaches. Makoto is a close-range fighter specializing in command throws and rushdown tactics. Remy is a projectile-based character who excels at zoning and anti-air combat, favoring a defensive style. Chun-Li is described as a well-rounded character with fast attacks, rushdown capabilities, and strong kicks, making her versatile in combat. 12 is presented as a unique character, with command throws and aerial techniques, suggesting an unconventional fighting style. The page also emphasizes core fighting game mechanics like performing combos for high damage, using throws effectively, and mastering super cancels. It also mentions the benefits of command throws. Screenshots show in-game fighting action featuring these characters. The next page showcases the arcade game Silent Scope from Konami, a gun shooting game where you play as a sniper. The game focuses on the thrill of accurately targeting and eliminating enemies. There are 4 game modes in total, including a story mode, time attack, and shooting range. The story mode is about rescuing the president and his wife, who have been kidnapped by armed terrorists. You play as a sniper tasked with stopping them. The game also features boss battles against enemies like helicopters. A unique element mentioned is the Sexy Beauty in story mode, where finding and scoping these characters gives bonus life recovery. The page also details the gameplay mechanics, emphasizing the connection between the main monitor and the scope view for aiming. The game is slated for release in June. Konami states that Silent Scope is their most confident gun shooting game to date, offering a unique sense of tension compared to other games in the genre. This page showcases 2 Konami arcade games, Beatmania 4th MIX and Pops in Music 2. Beatmania 4th MIX is highlighted as the newest installment in the music simulation series, promising fresh songs and updated graphics. It mentions incorporating songs from Beatmania 2DX and Dance Dance Revolution. The game modes are detailed as Basic, Hard, and Expert, with internet ranking features available during specific periods in June, July, and August 1999. Poppin' Music 2 is presented as a fun and accessible game with cute buttons, emphasizing multiplayer enjoyment and the new party mode. It features beginner, normal, and excite modes. The game includes original songs from home console versions, and details about scoring with great, good, and bad ratings are mentioned. The page also shows gameplay screenshots for both titles. This page is a strategy guide focused on the final stages of the Dreamcast game, Zombie Revenge. It provides tips for tackling challenging encounters, starting with Point 1, which warns players about facing 8 Sykes enemies simultaneously. The guide emphasizes the homing lasers they fire and suggests attacking from behind to be effective. Point 2 discusses the Episode 2 boss, UDS-05. It highlights the difficulty in dodging attacks due to the narrow stage, recommending players to wait for an opening and counterattack when the boss pauses. The guide further advises on understanding enemy movements, utilizing variable shots from a distance and punch combos up close, and dodging lasers by rolling or dashing. It also mentions conserving ammunition and reloading strategically away from the boss. Finally, the guide details counterattack opportunities, explaining that if the boss flashes green and prepares a counterattack, players should use a variable shot followed by charge shots or melee attacks to effectively defeat it. This page is a boss strategy guide focused on defeating ZED in the Dreamcast game Dynamite Cop. The guide highlights that the fight takes place behind a large boss, suggesting a challenging encounter. It breaks down ZED's attack patterns and provides tactics to overcome them. The attacks detailed are mirror attack, laser, aerial dash attack, guard ineffective attack, warp, and attacks from the back of the screen. For each attack, the guide suggests strategies like dashing to avoid the mirror attack, moving under the laser beam, countering aerial dash attacks with guarding, and using dodges for unblockable attacks. The guide emphasizes learning attack patterns for effective combat and counterattacks. This page is dedicated to Crazy Taxi for the Sega Dreamcast, titled Road of Crazy Volume 5. It's presented as a navigation guide by characters Gina and BD Joe. The page highlights Navigation Area 4 and features a map of the game world with locations labeled such as Ozma's Hotel, Mall Y-Gate, Mall N-Gate, Borders Paradise, CT Hospital, Clock Towers Theater, Skybank, Police Station, and Crown Arena. Jenna and BD Joe are featured in cartoon portraits and have dialogue boxes providing gameplay tips. Jenna emphasizes drifting in corners and being mindful of general traffic, especially at intersections. Joe talks about stopping at Borders Paradise and to aim for crazy backdrift when stopping to pick up customers. The page also gives location-specific advice from both characters for places like the police station, Clock Towers Theater, SKY Bank, and CT Hospital, with tips on how to navigate and play optimally in those areas. The page includes screenshots from the game, displaying in-game action with the Crazy Taxi vehicle drifting and driving around the city, showcasing the gameplay and HUD elements. This guide for Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast offers gameplay tips centered around characters Gina and Axel. It features several in-game pedestrians, Maria, Gimberly, Brown, and Kimberly, and their routes, which hint at map layouts. Axel emphasizes the crazy dash and jumping, especially rooftop travel. Gina stresses avoiding wasted time, highlighting shortcuts over following arrows. Joe offers tips on jump spots. Axel also highlights the short mall as a useful shortcut. The core of the guide focuses on the crazy back drift technique, a 180-degree turn using drifting, and the crazy back dash. This allows for rapid direction changes and efficient cornering, saving time and increasing scores. Screenshots illustrate this technique, which is deemed effective and visually impressive. This page features Aiko Koike, with accompanying text that says, "After a walk in Omotesando, take a break at a stylish cafe." The image shows her enjoying a cup of coffee at Anniversaire Cafe. This page features an interview with Aiko Koike, who is described as an actress aiming to be a major star. The page provides her personal data, including her age as 18, blood type AB, and hobbies like movie appreciation. The interview reveals that she enjoys walking around areas like Meiji Street and Shibuya, often stopping at cafes and shops. She mentions she likes rollerblading and enjoys going to game centers, especially those near Shimokitazawa Station, which her family runs. She plays games like Beat Mania and dance games, sometimes spending hours there after work. She mentions that she is often called sister by younger actresses she works with on the TV show Beautiful Girl H, and she likes to be relied upon. She also mentions that she prefers men who are adults and have their own opinions, and are stimulating to talk to, rather than someone who is too dependent. This page is the weekly Dreamcastrology horoscope section. It provides astrological readings for each zodiac sign, covering aspects like money luck, health luck, love luck, and work luck, along with advice. Each zodiac sign section features illustrations of boy and girl characters representing the sign. There are no games, characters, or screenshots directly related to Dreamcast games mentioned. This page is an advertisement for a Sega Magazine subscription. It is promoting yearly subscriptions for 3,000 yen, which includes postage and handling. Subscribers will receive the Sega Magazine 6 times a year, delivered every other month starting from the June/July issue. The advertisement highlights several benefits for subscribers, including getting the real Sega Magazine, special Sega Magazine merchandise cards, free tickets to Joyopolis, and entry into the Butsubutsuya event. The page also features Sonic and Amy Rose promoting the magazine, and includes a subscription application form to be filled out and sent in. This page is a special reader's gift announcement from Dreamcast Magazine. There are 4 prize categories for readers who answer a questionnaire. The first prize is Dreamcast Game Software, awarded to 20 people, featuring a fighting game screenshot, possibly from the Marvel vs. Capcom series. The second prize is Dragon Quest Monsters Trading Battle Card Sets, with 10 winners, provided by Enix. The third prize is Gamera Dream Battle and Masura Dream Battle devices, similar to Tamagotchis, with 10 winners, provided by Sega. The fourth prize is a Friends Youth's Radiance telecassette, a type of phone card with anime illustrations, awarded to 1 person, provided by NEC Interchannel. The page also previews the next issue of Dreamcast Magazine, which is the June 4th issue, releasing on May 21st. It highlights information about the included GDROM demo disc and an upcoming special issue and Dreamcast character calendar. The magazine will feature an E3 Fastest Report from Los Angeles starting May 13th, covering games such as EGG, Maoi no Tsukiya, Shenmue, Dynamite Cop 2, Let's Make a Professional Baseball Team, Giant Graham, and New Japan Pro Wrestling 2 in Nippon Budokan. Dreamcast new game arrival information will also be included, featuring titles like Climax Landers, New Japan Pro Wrestling 2 Kon Ratsuden 4, ESPIONAGENTS, Blue Stinger Key to E, White Illumination, Sega 2, Redline Laser, and Super Speed Racing. This page highlights various music releases. Firstly, it advertises the Sakura Wars Flower Troop Christmas Miracle Bell concert being released on video and LD, boasting rehearsal footage and cast insights, with a special campaign for bundled CD purchases and prizes. Secondly, it announces the upcoming June 2nd release of the new Sakura Wars CD single Kore ga Review, featuring songs sung by Sakura Shinguji, Sumire Kanzaki, and Maria Tachibana from the Imperial Opera Troupe, and the CW song Geki, Imperial Assault Force, Modified 2, by Iris, Likuran, and Kana Kirishima, with a release fair planned at Animate stores. Thirdly, it promotes the Radio DC game music soundtrack, hosted by Katsuya Kobayashi, known from Best Hit USA and Snakeman Show, where he presents Sega game music in a radio program style, including sound effects and arranged tracks. This cool soundtrack album is produced by Sega Digital Media Production, Finally, it mentions that LA Machine Guns Zombie Revenge and Magical Truck Adventure are now on sale. This page is a promotional page for the Dreamcast game Frame Gride, a mech action title from Software. The page highlights the core gameplay features, such as customizing your mecha with original parts, using various weapons like rifles, swords, and shields, and employing strategic combat. It emphasizes the Liberate Stone system for customizing your mecha's performance and attributes. The game is described as a 3D combat mecha action game with network play capabilities using a modem. Frame Gride is announced for release in July, with a suggested retail price of 6,800 yen. The page also features screenshots of the in-game action, showcasing the mechs and combat environments.